And luckily, we haven't had to experience that nightmare of an AFC championship game lost in overtime. So
what's worse, that or 2012? I mean, it's close.
Oh, man.
2-14 or...
I mean, is it better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all?
Ask the Bills.
I think that's an interesting one, because would you rather be known as the team that went to 4 straight Super Bowls and didn't win one, or a team like Detroit that's just never been to one? Because the Detroit Lions are sort of lovable losers.
Yeah.
The Bills oftentimes are just annoying, because in the 90s they thought they were the cream of the crop. They rise to the top, you know?
It's a mid-off.
That's right. And then they still think like they're one of the premier franchises in the NFL with all of their fun Super Bowl wins that they can celebrate. Like looking back, like, oh, what was your favorite Super Bowl win, Buffalo? You too, Cincinnati. Why don't you guys argue about what your favorite Super Bowl win was? Oh, that's fun. Good job, guys. But Cynthia Freeland, year number 4. The Chiefs going for a three-peat. We will talk with Cynthia, NFL Network analytics expert. I've got about 50 things I want to talk to her about. I don't know if we'll get to 2 of them, because that's sometimes
Is the
what
first
happens.
question that long just to get out, or
No, it's just
how
like,
are you going to phrase it? Or
because oftentimes, like, I have all these bullet points and things I want to talk about, and then the conversation will branch off somewhere else. And then I'll be like, well, the conversation still ends up being good. At least I think so. And if nobody else agrees, that's fine. I'm having fun, so I don't care. But then I'm like, man, these are all these things I wanted to ask her. I'll table that to next week. And then sometimes it's like sports or leisure, where there might be questions left over a month later that I'm like, I haven't even got to that yet with Cynthia. That comes up at 11 o'clock. 1 o'clock, Mick Schaefer will join us, KSHB 41 sports director. You know, the game tomorrow is on KSHB 41. They decided not to put it on 38 The Spot this week. So it's going to be on the Big Boy channel, KSHB 41. Thursday Night Football, banner hanging. Ordered my flag today. I was not able to stop into McDonald's this morning. Swamped. A lot of stuff to do.
the McDonald's or you were swamped?
Oh, I was. Yeah, I
Okay.
couldn't. I wanted to swing in, but with the traffic on and construction on 69, my route to the office is now very, very backed up because it's become a detour. So like it's twice the time, and I'm like, well, then do I take another detour to get? I'm just going to order online. I know it's $10, but that's fine. It's double the cost. That's fine. I'm only getting one anyway,
But
and that's
you
fine.
could
It's
have
$10.
gotten a McGriddle.
I could have. I would have spent more at McDonald's if I'd have stopped in, got food, and then got the flag.
A flag and a McGriddle is the move.
The flag would have been $5.
McGriddle.
The flag would have been $5. The McGriddle and the other food would have been like 10. So I'd have spent $15 there. I'm glad. I'll gladly give $10 to the Ronald McDonald House instead of $5 by ordering it online.
Oh, so now you're just giving back to charity. Now you're just
Exactly.
a good guy.
I saved
you
time.
wanted to give money.
I have typically every year, especially the Super Bowl ones, gone and swung into a McDonald's and you know gave it's $5 minimum donation. You can give more, and you know hand over the $5 bill and grab the flag and give it to little man. And I was going to do it today, but running behind all of that stuff. Hopefully everybody got out there and got their flags. If not, go order them. $10. It includes shipping. The $10 is with shipping included.
Nice.
To order it online. Money goes to Ronald McDonald House. So go and get your Super Bowl flag, back-to-back champion Super Bowl flag. And then looking forward to next year when it'll be the three-peat flag. So that'll be a lot of fun. But Mick Schaefer will be in here, KSHB 41 Sports Director. They'll raise the banner tomorrow night. He won't. 41 won't, but they will do it out there at Arrowhead Stadium. Today at 1:15, ZOUs. We got our Chiefs ZOUs today. Our Chiefs over-unders, zone Chiefs over-unders. And we are all square on bets paid up except for American Century, which, by the way, Dylan, I mean, I am tired of waiting. We have been waiting since mid-July. I am fully paid up on my bet as of 5 days ago from the Chiefs ZOUs last year.
I've offered to pay for drinks, and Mick just gives me the worst orders every time. I can't,
man, it's ridiculous.
Can't even find what he wants.
He has
and
you
I just
walking
give
off.
up.
You got minimal time to go there to Quick Trip in
Right.
between segments, and he's got you walking around looking for a Rooster Booster or whatever. You know,
Like I have to, it's 3 seconds under Sprite, 2.5 under Powerade, and that's all.
and he knows the exact combination because if he
Right.
tastes it, he'll spit it right out and then just throw it in your face. What is this? A school for ants?
Brought a change of clothes.
It's a
this
great
time, so.
movie.
Thank you. I appreciate
You should have gone more with, I think,
appreciate you get the reference there, buddy.
the gas, outside.
I do the jitterbug. Like, we had some orange frappe mochachinos.
It's a great movie.
I love it. It's very good. It's very good.
Anytime there's a walk-off, all I can think about is it's a walk-off.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a walk-off.
It was a walk-off last night on the Yankees and Clay Holmes. The Yankees are trying to walk off their closer to see who they have, but they decided with all the money they don't have to spend to not go out and make any moves for the bullpen at the trade deadline. That was smart because nobody could see Clay Holmes, fizzling out this second half of the season. Nobody saw that coming at all. Clay Holmes continuing to blow saves for the Yankees.
I don't even want to claim him as part of my family, the Holmes family.
You didn't want to clay him.
Hate it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We are off to a great start for the Chiefs getting underway tomorrow. But Cynthia Freeland at 11 o'clock, Mick Schaefer at 1 o'clock. We'll get into, in the noon hour, different players, 3 players that we are going to be paying close attention to in the game tomorrow night, Chiefs and Ravens. Those players that either we're just paying close attention to because we like them, we think they wear their jersey well, or we think they will have an impact on the game one way or another. You guys decide however you want to put your top 3. And then we'll get into some college football in the noon hour as well, with all 3 local schools taking care of business. And now K-State and KU, bigger games this weekend, certainly than Mizzou. KU with the biggest game. Illinois announcing yesterday a sellout of that crowd. So they will be walking into a place that has some excitement about what this season can be for Illinois. KU is still favored by 5.5 in that game. So how far the Jayhawks have come in that Lance Leipold and this team go on the road to a Big Ten team that's sold out, and they are almost a touchdown favorite. KU is like that. Like, think about it. Since Mark Mangino, through the Charlie Rice era and Beatty and Miles, etc. I mean, what would they be dogs here? 14, 15-point dogs? 16, maybe more? Going into a Big Ten school, fully sold out. Like, honestly, like 15, 16. What was that, Jay? Here, you can use my mic. Dylan doesn't like you. There you go. You got it now?
I would say that, depending on the team, like the 2015 team that went winless, I'd say this would be 20.
20, 25 points instead.
That's easy. I mean,
instead, they're 5.5-point favorites going into Illinois. It's
and
great.
we ain't talking Ohio State Big
Exactly.
Ten.
No,
We're
it's great.
talking Illinois.
It's great, man.
I'm
Let's
happy
do it.
for KU. As a Mizzou fan, it's like, hey, at least one team at least one team will lose.
Oh, and
that's great, right?
And it is
Illinois.
Yeah, and it is exactly. You're right. The only thing else you can throw in there is if Arkansas somehow got involved in that game.
Sinkhole opens up in the middle of the field.
No, I don't like. I like Jalen Daniels. I like
that.
Kidding.
Devin Neal and Jalen Daniels and Lance Leipold. If they got out, then we're talking.
Right.
Then now we can have a conversation.
No. As
okay?
a KU fan, absolutely not. I hope it's a 40-point blowout.
That's right. Also, shout out to the Big 12 with their TV network deal. It's really cool that KU goes to Illinois and K-State goes to Tulane, and both those games are on ESPN+, while Mizzou is hosting Buffalo, and that's on the SEC network. So I can just turn on my TV and watch that one and not have to go load up an app. So well done, Big 12. That's awesome. Big game, KU and Illinois. Go ahead and check that online.
Wait,
on
actually?
ESPN. Yes.
in K-State Tulane, a
Yes.
game that I actually bars.
Yes.
Here I come.
It's dumb.
It's good. If
It's
you're
absurd.
a bar owner right now, congratulations. You now have
Yeah.
my business.
Well, because they're playing almost at the exact same time. K-State's at 6, KU's at 7. So it's going to be a great bar night.
Oh my
Saturday
goodness!
night.
I'm going to the Canada USA soccer game Saturday at 3. Right?
Okay.
That's at Children's Mercy.
It is.
It's
I
gonna
thought
be
K-State was at 11.
K-State is at 11. You are right.
Okay,
They
hear
were-
me out.
Yeah.
maybe Power and Light or Hollywood Casino. Get ready. 11 o'clock. I go watch that game. I go watch USA take care of Canada and send all their syrup back up there. It's going to be electric. They can hang out with their Mises.
And I'm wrong about that, by the way.
Mooses.
So I totally messed up because I did not update the time and the network for the games. I know for the K-State and KU game, KU's on FS1 because it is in Big Ten territory. I immediately questioned myself. I'm like, I've got ESPN Plus here. That's got to be right because I wrote it down. I would never get it wrong. And K-State's on Big ESPN at 11 o'clock. So
Wow, you just
can
really...
we fix that in post, Dylan?
Yeah, I dumped it.
Can we thank you? Can you
Dang
dump
it.
I actually-
2.5 minutes
Yeah,
worth?
yeah.
So shout out to the Big 12 and their TV network deal of making sure that K-State Tulane is on the Big ESPN and
This hurts.
FS1. K-State at 11 o'clock and then KU kicking off at 6 o'clock on FS1. I am right about the 5.5. See, here's the thing. I got the spreads right. I made sure that those were updated, okay? If you have an idea of where my mindset is when it comes to these games, I don't care what time they start. I just want to know what the point spread is.
You know what's a
I don't
bummer?
care where I watch it. I know I'll be able to. It's not like the Royals and Bally's. I'll be able to watch it. But I don't care what time or what channel it is. I just want to know that they're favored by 5.5. KU is, and K-State going on the road, and they're favored by 10.
I
That's all
no
I'm saying.
longer have an excuse to go to a bar, and that's the real bummer.
Yeah, you do. You always have an excuse to go to a bar.
We've
You
gone too long without telling.
Missouri and KU start at the exact same time on Saturday night.
Hey, bar time.
6 o'clock.
It's a bar time.
See, there you go. One is on FS1, KU, big deal, and Mizzou on the SEC Network. So
They're playing the Buffalo Bills.
They are playing the Buffalo Bills. I like Brady Cook over Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I think it'll be another matchup with a local team that has a better quarterback against Buffalo. In all seriousness, they do. Mizzou has a better quarterback than the Buffalo Bison, and the Chiefs have a better quarterback than the Buffalo Bills. So it just doesn't matter. When Buffalo plays local teams, they will have the lesser quarterback.
We've gone too long in the show without telling
Have we?
Jack congratulations.
Actually, yes, Jack. Congratulations, dude. That is awesome. I thought for a second when I heard the Ruback commercial yesterday, immediately I thought, I'm guessing he's already proposed.
I did.
When did you record that commercial, and was it before you proposed?
Yeah, it's a good thing that my girlfriend doesn't listen to sports radio. Just whenever
Wait, did she say yes, though?
She did say yes. So,
Riz level is
yes,
high.
Nice.
Yes, had the
Congratulations.
confidence rolling in, and
Congratulations, dude. That is awesome. But did you record that before she said yes?
I did.
Yes. Ooh, look at you, confident.
Yeah, that would have been. Strike that down now.
Hey, Sandy and Chad Corey, we're going to have to erase that.
How'd you do it?
I'm going to have to take this back. Let me tell you about Ruback's exchange policy. Their return and exchange policy is fantastic. So I thought I had a fiance that was going to say yes. She said no, and I was able to return that ring, no questions asked. I even had a drink at the bar because I needed it.
It was a bar. It was a rooftop bar in Dallas that
Wow.
overlooked the skyline of Dallas.
That's
so
romantic. Did you get on one knee?
I did.
I hope so. Did you?
Yeah, I got on one knee.
Okay.
Has anybody not?
I don't know.
Oh, I did. It was
Dylan?
a yes. Success.
Dylan, did you get on one knee when you proposed?
No, but I can try it. I can
One
give it,
day.
give it a spin for everyone and just stand up. I'll say, hey, can you get down on one knee? I'm actually gonna do something here.
I'd like to hover over you
Yeah.
just so you know how the marriage is going to be.
Exactly.
Well, congratulations,
Yeah,
dude.
congrats,
I
that is,
Jack.
appreciate it. I
that is,
appreciate it.
that is so awesome. That's very cool.
Does she know you have to spend like prime time Chiefs games until 1 in the morning with me? Yeah.
Yes.
Already
already got that
news?
down on the
Okay.
calendar.
Good.
A 1:30.
No, and she still said yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh made it through with Renee, so I think Jack will.
When's
be
the wedding?
good, So.
Don't know that yet. Step by step.
You know what's
I
impressive
gave
is
it 5.5 years. But anyway, Sterling, you were saying?
all of Jason's co-hosts just get engaged. Briscoe engaged. I got engaged.
Yeah.
Jack got engaged. So
Corey was on his second marriage, so it was all good. I mean, come on, man. So, yeah, I mean, this is what we do here.
is that when you come back, the best man goes, now welcome back, everyone.
Yes, that's right.
I see a lot of familiar faces.
Hey, everybody. Oh, man. So I guess the next person to sit in that chair, Sterling's going to have to be single with or not single, but with a girlfriend that they have been dating for a while that they're thinking
Yeah.
about proposing.
And with great hair.
Yeah. Well, maybe we're just hiring people so we can sell jewelry store ads.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Briscoe and Jack. What about you, Sterling?
So,
nice
so
job. Yeah,
I would say
way
Briscoe
to
did
go.
leave after he not long after he got
Don't
married.
worry.
So when I have my wedding, all of a sudden I get kicked out. You get
That's right.
just slowly moved.
That's exactly right.
Is that how it works?
I mean, that's the plan, at least. I've talked to Chad about it. So, yeah, that'd be great. 913-912-4810 is the text line. But congratulations to Jack Johnson. Thank you, Sterling. I was burying the lead by talking about the things in sports-related that we'll get into today, and certainly the Chiefs tomorrow. But it is Jack Johnson getting engaged, and he'll be on the post-game show tomorrow night. He will be on the Arrowhead Pride Show with Pete Sweeney tonight at 6 o'clock, right after Soren Petro in the program. They'll lead into the first Arrowhead Pride Show right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jack Johnson, Pete Sweeney. That'll be fun. And then Bethany Bowman tonight, Cobell Hudson tonight. So we got a full night of sports talk radio for you guys. 913-912-4810. Let's get this question in, and then we'll take a break and come back and get a little more in-depth with the Royals and what we're seeing and what's going on. Concern level of missing the playoffs. Not concern level of how they're playing right now. We know that. We know they suck right now. We know they're playing terrible. Lollygag. I don't know the lollygagging, but it certainly seems like that. It's pathetic. It really is. I mean, pathetic is one way I would use to describe it. There's a lot of other synonyms we can go along with that. But concern level of the Royals missing the playoffs, 1 to 10. 1 being not concerned, 10 being our pets' heads are falling off. I'm at like a 2.8, almost a 3, not a 1. 1 would be if they had like a 7-game lead over the Red Sox, but they still have a 4.5-game lead, and the Tigers. They have a 4.5-game lead over the Tigers and the Red Sox. So I'm like a 2.8. Maybe that's too optimistic. I'll find out when I ask you guys. Sterling, where are you at? 1 through 10?
5.
You're a 5. Yeah, I knew you'd be a little bit higher because yesterday you were losing your mind and you were ripping your hair out, which it's a nice head of lettuce. I wouldn't do that if I was you. You look like Dylan.
Well, because
you know?
to me, it's Detroit. It's the 3-game set against Detroit. If the Royals are playing like this and they get swept by Detroit, I mean,
Well, Detroit also has 3 more against the White Sox left.
I mean, that's my point.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I'm with you.
I don't think it's
get it.
Boston. I don't think it's Seattle. I think it's Detroit's the team
Okay.
you have to be worried for. And if the Royals keep playing like this, like they're the White Sox, yikes.
No, I like that. I like that view. The Detroit team is probably the one that I'm also starting to pay more attention to. They were off yesterday, which is why it's now 4.5 games tied with the Red Sox and Tigers. The Royals do have now. The Tigers will have to be a better record than the Royals because of season series, with the Royals having the season series already, tiebreaker. So the Red Sox just have to tie the Royals. The Tigers have to be better.
Sure.
So they have to be a game better than the Red Sox the rest of the way to overtake the Royals. Jack?
I think I'm in a 2. Quite honestly, it just feels like, this by far and away was the Royals' worst stretch of the year. They've lost 7 in a row. The offense can't seem to now hit with runners in scoring position. And this was the opportunity for not just Boston, but Seattle and Detroit to make some serious ground. And Detroit has gone from, 7 games to about 4.5. So they've done the best at gaining ground on Kansas City. And yes, you can look to that series at Kauffman Stadium, a 3-game series. But also, that's after this gauntlet is over. The Royals will get the Pirates in Pittsburgh. The Pirates have completely bottomed out. The Royals still have the Nationals on their schedule. They have the Giants, who are sub 500. And who knows what the Braves are playing for in the final series of the year. I mean, do they have a playoff spot locked up? Are they even playing for the division at that point? Likely not. So to me, it just feels like they're still in a comfortable spot. You don't feel good because they've lost 7 in a row, but I look at a lot of the struggles of those other teams. Seattle and Detroit can't hit. They just have never had a consistent offense all season long. They have great pitching, but they're relying on winning games 3-2, 4-2. If they don't, I mean, they got shut out by the Padres the last time they had played. So to me, I think it still is at a 2 for now. If this losing streak stretches into Saturday and they've lost 10 in a row and all of a sudden it's 2.5, I mean, that skyrockets to about a 6 or a 7 at that point because you're free falling. And it seems like other teams are having more opportunities to gain ground on you. But right now, 4.5 is still a pretty healthy cushion. And you feel like if they can just get 1, all of that pressure comes off because then you just have a little bit more breathing room. And we're counting down the days at this point. There's 22 games to go. I'm just looking at other teams and counting down how many weeks are left, how many days are left, how many games are left. And if you get to 10 games and you still have that 4.5 game cushion, then you can start buying your tickets for October.
There are 10 more games before the Royals play Detroit. So that's a lot of time for them to lose ground. It's a lot of time for them to turn things around and start, hitting again. Dylan, 1 through 10, what are you at?
I think I'm around where you guys are, like a 3 or 4.
Okay.
Like, it's concerning, but I'm more concerned about competing in the playoffs than actually missing the playoffs more so. So if the concern level was like, what do we do when we get there? Like,
That'd be a 10
before
for me.
Vinny, and exactly. Like
11.
It was kind of like a 5 there,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think we still make it.
Yeah. So again, they got Detroit starting September 16th, 17th, 18th. That comes after they wrap up the series against Cleveland tonight, 3 against Minnesota. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they head to New York. Then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they head to Pittsburgh to return home for the 6 games against Detroit and San Francisco. Today is the final stretch of what is 14 games in 13 days, all against first-place teams. It is literally the toughest stretch of any team in baseball that they've had. No team has had that many consecutive games without a day off, all against first-place teams this year. So the Royals have played 14 straight games against first-place teams in 13 days. That is a grind. That is a difficult grind because you're going up against good pitchers, good lineups, and you're having to go out there and perform nightly with no day off. Excuse, reason, whatever we want to call it. Depends on who is receiving the information, if they think it's an excuse or a reason. I don't think it's an excuse for losing 7 in a row and playing like this, but I think it is a reason why the Royals may be struggling along with losing Vinny Pasquantino, in that any team going through that grind would get beaten down towards the end. They finally get a day off tomorrow. Let's hope they win tonight and have some good vibes heading into the day off tomorrow when they get ready for Minnesota, which they are only a game back of right now. Yankees now a team in the wild card spot after losing that to Baltimore last night by blowing that lead against the Rangers and the grand slam by Wyatt Langford. We'll come back and want to talk about the offensive struggles related to Vinny. Is it just baseball? Are they pressing? Will they turn this around? Have we seen this before this year and they eventually busted out of it? We'll get into all of those things. Cynthia Freeland at 11 o'clock, Mick Schaefer 1 o'clock. Chiefs, ZOU, zone over-unders coming up today in the 1 o'clock hour. More zone next. A lot of texts letting me know that the KU game is on Fox Sports 1 this weekend, and the K-State game's on ESPN, and they're at different times than we talked about, too.
Did you seriously just lie to all of us? Are you just lying to me now?
No, I'm not lying to you. I was looking at my format thinking I had updated my format in the times and networks, but all I updated on the format was the date and then the lines for the game. The betting lines.
Yeah, you're right, you did.
Yeah, that's what I've updated is just the dates that they're playing, except for K-State's date. They already played August 31st.
What do we hold
Look,
as most
I got
important?
here yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, we are off on Monday. All right, it's a short week. I got Chiefs on my mind. The Royals are struggling. Our pets' heads are falling off.
It's true.
What's more important, time or the gambling line?
That's exactly right. Do we want to talk about if they're going to win or cover, or do we want to talk about what time they play?
When you go place the bet on the -5, it tells you the time there.
Well, I need to know so I can plan my Saturday from 9 a.m. until midnight of how I'm going to lose/win money and
How many beers?
consume beverages.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Because you don't have 2 more days to do that. So I get it. You got to plan it today. Now, that makes total sense. 913-912-4810. This stat from David Lesky. From June 10th to June 27th, that's a 16-game stretch, the Royals averaged 2.6 runs per game. Now, these last 6 games, that was 16 games. These last 6 games, they've averaged 2. 2 runs per game. They are 0-6. That stretch from June 10th to June 27th, they won 6 of those 16 games when they were scoring at that small of clip. Then they went through a stretch of like 40 games where they were scoring 5.5, almost 6 runs per game. So I think the accumulation of Vinny, the bullpen, the Astros disastrous series, losing the last 3 versus Cleveland, the runners in scoring position issue, Vinny, the way the starters have been pitching and pitching well, Vinny, the bullpen struggling, Vinny. I think why it feels like the sky is falling in these 6 games as to why the offense, this is just who they are now. The offense is broken. This is what they're going to look like the rest of the way because Vinny. It makes it worse when you've got Singer going out there twice in this stretch and, doing what he did. Although I kind of blame Singer for last night's game. I mean, what's the pitcher's job? To give your team a chance to win. Once he gave up 2 runs, the team didn't have a chance to win. So, I mean, how is it not Singer's fault? I mean, we are missing the point. We're talking about the offense. The offense scored a run. You know what the pitcher's job is? To give up fewer runs than the offense scores. Thanks a lot, Brady.
He's actually pitched pretty well the past 2 big games.
Yes, and he's got losses in both.
You almost feel bad because now that big game moniker is still sticking with him, even though it's clearly not his fault, at least the past couple. You lose 7-1. You see Singer with the L next to it. I think a lot of people just assume, oh, great, Brady Singer in a big game. He pitched well. 5 2/3, 2 runs that he gave up. Clearly kept the Royals in the game the entire time, using the sweeper more than he has any game this year. And, it adds an element against a heavy left-handed lineup for the Guardians last night. And he's using the sweeper more than he has really at any point all season. I mean, his first 13 starts. Now it's how it's registered. So maybe he's been throwing a sweeper in different games, but it's registering in a different way. But like his first 13 starts, it counted a sweeper as only 4 pitches. In his first 13 starts, 4 total sweepers. Now maybe he threw more, but it came up and registered as a slider. But it was only 4. And the last 3 starts, he's thrown 24. Last night he threw 14 sweepers against Cleveland. I mean, almost 15% of his pitches were sweepers. I mean, that helps. Sinker slider guy, and the Royals love, teaching the sweeper. They love the to use that, to utilize that a little bit more.
and Brady Singer has been doing that a little bit more. We'll see if it becomes something that's more and more a part of his repertoire, but he used it against Cleveland last night. Maybe it's something against a heavy left-handed lineup he did. But I think some of this sort of feels like it's compounding because it's this late in the season. Instead of chasing something, now you feel like you can lose something. You're chasing a playoff spot all year. Now you're in such good shape. The only thing you can do is lose that playoff spot, so it becomes even more stressful. And again, the starters in these 5 games, they have been great, but the bullpen's given up more runs than the starters have in these 6 games, I should say. I mean, the starters have pitched many, many more innings than the bullpen, but they've given up fewer runs than the bullpen has. That's been a part of it. Last night seemed like a continuation of what the previous 5 games were. Not the first game of the losing streak, because, again, that was the disastrous just let the ball go and it's a double play, you're out of the inning, and you probably win that game. Instead, you lose the lead, lose Vinny. Urseg, you lost for a few days, and a lot of hope was lost for this Royals team that night. But the 5 games before last night, this just felt like a continuation of those games where the Royals had the bottom of the 6th inning, bases loaded and nobody out, and they get 1 run.
Yeah.
And 2 batters later for Cleveland, they get 2 on a guy that was trying to freaking bunt. And he couldn't get the bunt down. If you would have just thrown him a pitch that he hit the home run on to lay the bunt down, you'd have got an out. You'd had 1 out and a man at second. Instead, you were throwing stuff all over the place for him to bunt. Then you're like, oh, I'm just going to throw this with 2 strikes right over the middle. Middle. Hey, I'm going to – you want to be in the home run derby, Rocchio? I'll throw it to you if you want to. This is middle, 86. Just a spinner. Just up there spinning right down the middle.
It's batting practice.
Dude, it's a BP fast. It was a BP spinner.
Yep.
Like, it might as well have been a BP fastball because it had no movement on it and just right over the middle. Like, yeah, he's on scholarship too.
Well,
Like,
the
those
issue
guys are
is
good, too.
when they throw it to Royals hitters, that's an easy out.
Well, that's what's going on right now.
Now it feels like, yeah.
Bobby's had a couple of swings on fastballs that he just fouled off.
Yeah.
That he would have put in the tank, in the water.
But not even Bobby. Like 5 through 9.
I know, it's just
not
like
a
everybody.
single hit. Michael Massey's now batting 3rd. He's done nothing since he's moved up to that spot.
Yeah. Except for last night's 10-pitch walk, which was great. That's the one thing.
Yes. That was hyperbolic. Yes, that was.
I know
great,
he hasn't literally done nothing, but it feels like he's literally done nothing.
A phenomenal at bat.
He's done one thing
by Massey.
He's done one
that
thing.
That was
He
one
walked.
great at bat.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Isabel is just looking brutal at the plate right now. I mean, he's letting fastballs down the middle go by. He's swinging at curves that hit the plate. Michael Garcia, the entire season, quite frankly, since that first week, he's not been good. Freddie Fermin, I don't want to rip too much on him because he's had a great season so far, and defensively, my goodness, he's got an absolute cannon behind the plate. But MJ, he's really come back down to earth. Paul DeYoung, since he had that, even the 2-run shot against Hader, but since then, really, he's come down to earth. A lot of swinging strike. I mean, how many swing and misses has he had?
I think he also got unlucky last night. I mean, he roped that thing. And
Roped that one. But how many swing and misses? But seriously, how
many?
many?
Been a bases
cleared the
clearing,
bases, yeah.
bases clearing triple, and we might be talking about. Well, I don't know that we would.
I don't like it. I hate the one. I hate the what if.
I know we might be
like,
still talking about the bullpen blowing it last night.
But how many
still.
swing and misses has he had? And that's the issue of losing Vinny, because while that particular one ended up in a sac fly, traditionally he swings and miss way too often with guys on 3rd less than 2 out, right? So he's kind of the guy that's moved up into that spot. Massey's moved up in that spot, and how many swing and misses has Michael Massey had? Vinny, for an instance, for all the talk about sac flies and maybe you wish you would do a little bit more, it was almost a guaranteed RBI. Runner on 3rd, less than 2 outs. The Royals don't have that right now. You pull up DeYoung, it's a slider away. You put up Salvi, slider away. There's just way too many swing and miss when Vinny was the guy that was the consistent. And I'm not trying to make it. So you have to find a way to figure this out.
Yeah.
He's not here, so you got to figure this out. But that seemed to me is the biggest issue. Is last night if Vinny was up in that situation, that one that Salvi line to left field got unlucky. Vinny's driving that guy in. Yeah, he has all season long.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty easy to look at both of the worst stretches this year for the Royals and figure out why. When you look at why the lineup struggled, it's because Bobby wasn't hitting well. And when Bobby's not hitting well, nobody else in the lineup really can pick up that slack because he's that good. And that's why I'm not panicking right now about the offense, because we know eventually Bobby's going to catch fire again. Now, I will say there is one move I would make to help that out. I mean, you saw a handful of times last night in the way Cleveland decided to pitch to Bobby and to Salvi in certain situations. You go to the first inning. I'm not saying that Tanner Bibee hit Salvador Perez intentionally, but there was a base open to put Salvador Perez there. He'd rather face Paul DeJong in that spot than Salvador Perez. It is not a surprise that after Tommy Pham had led off the sixth inning with a double, Bobby Witt Jr. didn't see a single hittable pitch.
Agreed. Yep.
I'm not giving him a chance to tie the game. I'd rather face Michael Massey. Massey did his job. Let's give him credit there for the 10-pitch walk. But you know that the scouting report is, okay, we'd much rather face Michael Massey in the situation, who does not walk for the most part. He is going to chase something, and then we can get to Salvador Perez with one out. I think the move they need to make here, and maybe it happens when Hunter Renfroe comes back. He's on a rehab assignment tonight with Northwest Arkansas. I think I move Salvi to third. I think you have to give the protection back to Bobby Witt Jr. with a hitter like Salvi, who can hit with guys with runners in scoring position, and then you can put Renfroe in the 4-hole. I know that Matt Quatrero doesn't like loading up certain spots to line up with righty, which is why Massey's hitting third. If you're ever wondering why is Michael Massey, the second baseman, hitting in the third spot, because he likes the righty, lefty, righty with his 2, 3, 4 hitters. But at this point in the season, I think you need to have more protection for your best hitter than you got right now. Maybe that could be somebody like a Paul DeJong if you want to move DeJong to third. But I'm okay with maybe DeJong hitting cleanup if Salvi's going to be the guy right behind Bobby. Because last night, I don't think they have that luxury of just putting Bobby Witt Jr. on to face Salvador Perez, who's hitting, 350 with runners in scoring position? Yeah. They had their choice of, I'm not facing Bobby. I'm not throwing him something. I'd rather go after Massey. In the first inning, even though it was the first inning, it was, all right, Salvi's on the plate. Let's throw a fastball up, and if it hits him, okay, first and second, I'd rather go after DeJong.
Well, when Vinny went out the first 2 games, Salvi was batting third. He didn't do anything. I mean, he went 0 for 8, I think, in those 2 games. I actually think Michael Massey's walk last night was the first time a number 3 hitter actually got on base, as an actual on base, like a hit or a walk, not a fielder's choice, right? Like actually got on base since Vinny went out was that 10-pitch walk. And maybe that's like, okay, now I'm filling in for Vinny. I've got to do Vinny things. I don't think Salvi thinks that way, which is why I'm in agreement. I mean, I would put Salvi at the third hole, because if it's like, well, we just have to have a left-hander. Okay, so if Massey's out of the lineup, you're putting MJ or Isbell at number 3 because you have to have a left-hander there at number 3? No, you need your best hitters there at 1, 2, 3, and then figure out 4. If you're trying to figure out 3, why not try to figure out 4 and have 3 figured out with Salvi and move down the lineup and trying to figure those things out? I also think this was an interesting quote from Paul DeJong, and we'll take a break on this. He talked with Andy Rogers last night after the game, and he says, every guy knows what they can do for this team. So it's just a matter of unlocking that without pressing too much. I know I pressed a little bit, some big swings, trying to get it all back with one swing. Maybe we need to do small things a little bit better tomorrow, string some stuff together. Putting pressure on the other team is how we'll bust out of this. So maybe that's lip service that we're just struggling, we're pressing too much, or maybe it is him sort of looking in the mirror going, I had some big swings. I'm trying to get it all back in one swing, and I just need to, take a step back. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's the mindset tonight. Easier said than done. A hit with runners in scoring position would help, because in the 7-game losing streak, they are 6 for 37 with runners in scoring position. So having a bigger inning where they string some hits together and put a crooked number up there, or maybe a couple of innings, you put a crooked number up there, then you start to feel like, okay, we're fine without Vinny for now. It sucks that he's gone, but we can still go and score runs without Vinny in the lineup. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling more zone next. Paul DeYoung talked a little bit last night, and not only did he talk about, trying to not press as much, but Jack, you were in the clubhouse with him, and he was, also talking about sort of trying to, get the message across to other players that this is a long season. These particular games you're stringing together is not the end-all, be-all. This is not how you're going to play the whole year.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the guys they brought in with Tommy Pham, Yuli Gurriel, and Robbie Grossman. They've all done this before, and he has done this as well. And he said that, some of the guys were talking in the clubhouse the other day about it's a long season. They're 4.5 games. They have that cushion, but there's still a lot of games to go here, and there's still a lot of time to gain ground back on Cleveland. But it's all got to start with just one more win and snapping the streak.
Yep. And as Bobby said last night, we haven't lost 7 games in a row. We lost tonight, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's a good way to view it. But they've also lost 7 games in a row. Cynthia Freeland coming up next.
She's done the research.
I measured the big boys' booties for like 2 years.
She's analyzed the data.
If you can keep that big booty down, like if you are a big boy, if you're very tall and you can keep your booty down low, then you are far more successful.
She's crunched the numbers, and the results are clear.
The back of booty isn't as good, as it turns out.
If she picks a dog, she'll have the math to back it up.
It's not like Travis Kelce has done. My dog is very excited about this, just so you know.
It's Cynthia Freeland of NFL Network. Now in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Yes, that's right. We get our conversations with Cynthia underway now. Year number 4, our weekly chats with Cynthia Freeland from the NFL Network, analytics expert. Cynthia, welcome into the show. How are you?
Time flies. Yeah. 4 years already?
Yeah, this
That's
is year
crazy.
number 4. I had to go back and look because I thought maybe this was year 3. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's awesome. Yeah, I was like, is this year 3? Have we talked about back-to-back Super Bowls with Cynthia? And then I realized, no, the first year you were on, we had the nightmare disaster of watching a team lose in the AFC Championship game. All the horror. The horror of an AFC Championship game loss for a team. I don't know how we all got through it, Cynthia.
I'm glad we got through it together. I'm glad we made it. We got through it together. Hopefully we don't have to, deal with that travesty any other time. That's just the one time.
Yes.
Do you know there's kids who are going into 3rd grade who have never lived in a world where the Chiefs weren't AFC West champs?
That's my son. Yeah, my son is in 3rd grade right now. He's 8 years old. He turns 9 in November, but yeah, he's and since he started watching football, the Chiefs have been in the AFC Championship game since he was 16, was 1 year old. So he was almost 3 years old the first time that they played in the AFC Championship game. So from being almost 3 to in 3rd grade, his team is only known getting to at least the AFC Championship game.
He's like, Daddy, why do people think you can have Sundays free in January? Like, why are people doing that?
Yeah, these people are going on vacation in January. They're like they don't have anything to do. There was a time though when during the 2021 season, my son did ask me who the Chiefs were going to play in the Super Bowl. Like during the season. So who are they going to play in the Super Bowl this year? I said, well, it doesn't really work like that. It's not like it's just part of the schedule. They actually have to go and win the games. I know that your life of really watching football these first couple of years have been Super Bowls, one winning and one losing, but it doesn't really work like that. And then, right after that year, they've won a couple more. So whatever, I guess it kind of does look like and work like that for him. The Chiefs are going for a three-peat, Cynthia. I've brought this up a couple of different times. I brought this up with Adam Teicher. He's our Chiefs insider that's covered the Chiefs for decades. But I have no idea what the future is going to look like in the NFL or what teams are going to look like in the salary cap and all of that stuff. No idea. And if there will be a team that wins back-to-back Super Bowls down the road. It's been a while, and we finally have a back-to-back Super Bowl winner in the Chiefs. But I can't imagine a team, Cynthia, being better suited to go for a three-peat with the coach, the quarterback, the roster. Maybe there might be a team down the road that could be as good, but I can't imagine there would be a team in today's salary-capped era to have the roster, the returning players, the quarterback, the coach, the star players to go for 3 in a row.
Yeah, well, and also factor in the luck of the draw with the schedule because the AFC West playing the NFC South in a depleted NFC South year. That's great for the entire AFC West, but also helps because I think that we'll see more dramatic differences between first, second, and third and fourth place schedules going forward, especially, I think an 18-game season is coming, and that would mean 4 unique opponents that are of your same ilk going forward. So I don't think it's going to get any easier, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we'll see if the Chiefs can pull it off and be the first team ever to three-peat. One of the things that we've talked about around here, and we look back through that time, and it's sort of as we were discussing that, in kids that are in 3rd grade have never known the Chiefs not winning the AFC West, but and my son really not knowing anything but the AFC Championship game. And this team, the last 2 years, has just found ways to win in the playoffs, and it's not just the last 2 years. I mean, 2019, they're down 24-0 to Houston. They come back and win that game. They're down by 10 points to San Francisco with less than 8 minutes to play. They win the Super Bowl. Against Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game, 2 years ago. They find a way to get the field goal with Mahomes on one leg. Last year, winning in Buffalo, winning in Baltimore, making those plays, and then coming back from the deficit to the 49ers. Is there a way to quantify a team that finds ways to make those game-changing, extreme variance plays more often than not? Like, it's luck. I think there is definitely an element of that. But can you quantify it, luck, if the Chiefs seem to be the ones late in games that come out on the right side of those high variance plays?
Well, the funny part is I really did look a lot into that this past offseason. I just was, there's something about Kyle Shanahan, maybe, that was not a great thing in Atlanta. And then there's some folding that happens later in games for him as well. And so I was trying to see if there was some version of, is it luck or is there enough data to support it? Unfortunately, it doesn't happen often enough to really think that to really find something that's this is completely correlated. This is causal. This causes this. However, there are enough data points that show that top-tier quarterbacks, so it doesn't need to be even as great as Patrick Mahomes, meaning the best in our generation, but you have to have a top-tier quarterback and a coach who has a lot of different experiences, meaning, not just being an offensive coordinator and then figuring out how to, get a head coaching job, but has actually architected offenses themselves. That tends to dictate more success. So to me, I would imagine if I can figure out a way to quantify it, it will be some version of finding a way to figure out how to quantify a little bit more about Andy Reid, but then Andy Reid with a top tier, maybe even the best quarterback we'll see in our generation.
I would wonder, too, if the more often it happens, does that make it less likely that the water will find its level? There'll be a regression to the mean? Or the more often it happens, does that start to make it more likely if there's sort of this, innate belief that you're going to come through and make that play, and you can imagine it and you can think it, and then you sort of think it to reality. If there's that correlation of, well, this team has been doing it more than not, and then it started happening even more. So maybe there is something to it building on itself and a belief in that team, because I don't know how many times we've heard a Chiefs player go, well, we stayed in it because we know we've got 15. Well, we just had to do this because we know we've got 15 over there.
Right. Well, look, analytics community people, we all fight over momentum. Is it real? Is it not? I think it just depends on how you're defining the word momentum, because the truth is psychology is real. Your belief about what you can do internally, your belief about what your team can do, that is all real. I don't know how to quantify it necessarily, but it is a fact. However, it's not one of those things where you can say, okay, well, the Chiefs believe in Patrick Mahomes more than the Bills believe in Josh Allen. I mean, that would be an impossibility to do. However, I do think opponents say, oh, crap, there's 13 seconds left. Magic Mahomes can still happen. Yeah. And I think the defense, that little creeping in of doubt and that little edge of oh, no, that's where the differences lie. So it's all in the psychology of it, and however you want to define momentum or you don't want to define momentum, psychology is real, even if momentum isn't.
Yeah, I've always felt that, in baseball, the old adage is, momentum is only good as your next day starting pitcher.
That's right.
And I'm to a degree, but if there's an offense that's really struggling, like the Royals offense is scuffling right now, and it seems like everybody's trying to hit a home run at every at-bat because, they're trying to pick up the slack for the guy before them. And, yeah, your next day starting pitcher might be pretty good, or you might go up against a guy who's struggling. But if that offense right now is in their head, that's part of momentum, too. It's just the psychology of the momentum that, next day starting pitcher. Okay, well, how's the team playing, too, Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, is our guest. All right, this Chiefs team this year, we saw the Chiefs win the Super Bowl last year, and we heard Patrick Mahomes say it was kind of boring. It wasn't as much fun to win the Super Bowl last year because they weren't scoring points the way that they're used to. Your typical not fun Super Bowl win that every quarterback goes through in their career. I mean, we've all had
garden variety Super Bowl win,
Right. As a Lions fan, you remember all of the boring Super Bowl wins that have taken place, and Bills fans. That was unnecessary, Cynthia. I don't know why I did that.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay.
that was ridiculous.
You can do that because your team has won so often. You know,
I know,
it just
but-
makes everyone else happier when they beat the Chiefs, right?
That's
Because
exactly
if
right.
you can have a boring win, that means that you were at least in it and, like, you know, whatever. So
Yeah.
I'll take the boring win, even if it's over anyone. But,
Oh,
you know,
I would
because-
love a boring Super Bowl win every year. But it sort of goes to the point of what Mahomes was discussing about the offense this year and adding Hollywood. I know he's not going to play tomorrow night, but adding Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, a year of developing, getting that speed back into the offense. Brett Veach has had a knack for overcorrecting or really attacking an issue. They had an issue on defense with age and speed. They were slow and they were old, and he went in one offseason and they got younger and faster. He had an issue with offensive line against Tampa Bay on the field of Patrick Mahomes. This will never happen again. Rebuilt the offensive line. They had bad wide receivers last year and slower wide receivers that they couldn't stretch it deep. Brett Veach goes into the offseason. We're getting Hollywood. We're getting Xavier. We are going and bringing back McCole just for S's and G's. We are going to be able to stretch the field. What kind of impact do you think that can have on this Chiefs offense this year that seemed to be closer to middle of the pack when the way I described it, Cynthia, is they felt like a basketball team that had no three-point shooters, so it was like the defense was all compacted in the lane and inside the arc, as opposed to years past they felt like the Warriors were it was just the whole court was stretched out.
Well, I love that you teed me up perfectly. This is how you can tell we've been doing this for a number of years, because my favorite next-gen stat right now to look at with Patrick Mahomes is the fact that from 2018 to 2021, he threw 44 deep touchdown passes, so 20-plus air yard touchdown passes. And you know how many he had from 22 to 23, so 2 years?
I do know.
Exactly
I do know because I actually wrote that stat down to talk to you about.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
Two.
We're becoming one. This is great.
This is amazing.
But, yeah, he threw exactly 2. So the problem is I don't ever think we'll get to a point where we see, you know, complete dominance in that deep passing game. Why? Because nobody's going to be stupid enough to give Patrick Mahomes a single high look very often. So it's not going to be. I mean, it'll go up higher, so it'll be more than we're seeing with just the 2 because of the personnel. But I think defenses, you know, they have a special Patrick Mahomes defense. You know, I think Leslie Frazier was probably their first one to really implement it there in Buffalo back when they had 2 great safeties. But you're just not gonna give that look to the Chiefs, at least not very often. And so I think that number will come right around more towards the median. So let's call it 10 a year, 10 deep touchdown passes like that a year. And I think I think that would be a more fun Super Bowl, or a more fun road to the Super Bowl at least.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, it's one of the things that I look at this year and the difference between Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice as rookie wide receivers. Last year, Rashee Rice, the way I've described it is his impact had to come in volume on the field in receptions and yards because they needed somebody to do that. They needed somebody to just simply catch the football from Mahomes and pick up yards. And to me, Xavier Worthy, his impact's not going to come in volume. They do have to connect from time to time, but his impact to me is going to come even greater on the threat. That if Xavier Worthy is running deep, you know, if he's running a seam right down the middle, and he might attract both safeties, which can open it up for Rashee Rice or Hollywood or Travis Kelce. Like, he may not have a great statistical season, but his impact is going to be felt every time he's on the field for what he does for other guys around him. And that's rare for a rookie to be able to do. But I think the numbers will be misleading for Xavier Worthy this year if we really analyze and look at the impact of his play on the field.
Not with us, not here on this show, because we'll figure it out. But maybe everywhere else, you're right. But, no, like, I totally agree with you on that. I also think this opens up the possibility of running some different routes maybe on earlier downs. So we saw last year the Shanahan situation went to compressed formation with the offensive line. So they kind of ran everything because their best players, both Debo and Christian McCaffrey, of course, those guys run out of like running back or close to running back formations. Well, the Chiefs are going to be the opposite. At least that's kind of how I forecast it, meaning they can have incredibly spread out formations. And on early downs, now you have like, who am I going to chase? Am I going to chase that guy, Travis Kelce? I'm going to chase Rashee Rice. I'm going to chase Xavier Worthy, because those options, and especially early on, those are going to be we haven't seen some of the plays that they're going to run ever before, or maybe it's like, it'll like be an Andy Reid play from like, I don't know, like 1993, and no one will remember it because it's like preseason game 2, right? So that's the kind of stuff. They're going to be able to go so deep in the arsenal. So it's going to be kind of the opposite version of like what we're seeing from all these, Shanahan tree people. But realistically, it's going to be something where, that oppositeness could really, really work to the advantage of the Chiefs.
Yeah, and Xavier Worthy in game number 2, preseason game number 2, is when he had the touchdown and the number of catches, and there was one all 22 that I can't remember who labeled it, but they just said gravity, and Xavier Worthy is running down the field, and you've got the cornerback that's guarding him, the safety that's over the top turns and runs with him, and the safety on the other hash is supposed to be pressing down to get Kelsey, and he decides, I'm actually going to turn and run with Xavier Worthy as well. So 3 guys start following Xavier Worthy, and Justin Watson is wide open, but Kelsey's wide open like 7 yards behind Watson, that a safety, I know a backup safety, decided, I'm going to turn and run with Xavier Worthy and leave Kelsey wide open.
Great decision. Isn't that like when we call it inertia? It's like, right? Like where you like something. There we go. So he's inertia.
Yeah.
He's inertia.
I mean, it's just
it's
unbelievable. I wanted to talk about Travis Kelce, too. Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, is our guest. Kelce has had somewhat of a pitch count, load management, if you want to call it that, the last couple of years. He's playing fewer and fewer snaps, and last year he had the knee and the ankle, and then finally getting that last week of the season off. He didn't get to 1,000 yards, but, man, it made a difference because he looked younger. I was looking at some of the next-gen stats on NFL Plus Pro, and the average speed per route for Kelce in 2020 was 12.3 miles per hour, and last year was down to 11.6. But 2 of his fastest top speeds came last year. Do we look at that, and is that explained away by maybe as the years have gone on, he's running the route slower in terms of assessing the defense while he's going through and not running it as much in a line on a piece of paper? Or is his average speed has slowed down, but he still has some giddy up from time to time?
I mean, first of all, there's still some hitch in his giddy up. He's fine. But the thing that I looked at that too, and then, by the way, how good is Pro Plus? Like, you can sort all of his catch. It's so, and I figured out a way to put it on my TV. So I make like a carousel of my favorite catches, and I just like put it on the TV, and me and the dogs, we have 2 now, watch it anyways, that is my life. But when I'm looking at Travis Kelce's runs, I think last year, the thing I really noticed was that he was running shorter routes. So on a shorter route, you're going to run a slower miles per hour. That's the way that route running works. So if you look at the average depth of target, you have to kind of mine that with the fastest times. I think the load management is smart, and mostly because, the more times that you're on the field, the more opportunity, unfortunately, you have to get hurt, but that's true of every player. So being smart about where they're really going to strategically use him and how they're going to make sure those are the routes that are really meaningful, that's what I took away more. So to me, it's strategy, not necessary. Because, Travis Kelce is a problem on the field every single time he's on the field. But if you show too much, if you show your hand too early, then you have a problem later on in the season when you need to have some new wrinkles and folds to be able to get these boring Super Bowls down in books.
Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, is our guest. I want to talk a little bit about the Baltimore Ravens in this matchup tomorrow night. You did the study on offensive linemen, which is part of the Open, which is great. The big booty, the backup booty, the how low to the ground your booty is. The Royals have a new left tackle in Kingsley Suamataia, but the Ravens are integrating 3 new offensive linemen. How difficult is that to do for a team? Is it easier, a team that's going to be more of a power run game? Is it more difficult if you're going to have, those RPOs and some mesh points with Lamar and Derrick Henry? Does it make it easier? How do you assess the Ravens and their specific offensive style and having a new left guard, and right tackle?
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, that's difficult, because if you think about where the league is going, last year we saw a lot of success on duo and basically running power, running in the A gap next to the center. And that was actually an area the Ravens had some success before they inexplicably decided not to run the game in the playoffs. Anyways, doesn't matter. But it's interesting as you're looking at how like a Lamar Jackson and a Derrick Henry together will work in this, because the good news about Derrick Henry is that he too has the value of a center of gravity shift that doesn't move. He runs more high than other running backs. However, he's just built that way. His center of gravity doesn't move along the course of action, which is why you've seen him have all those yards after contact, all those deep runs, 10 plus, 15 plus yard runs, because he has so much velocity in running that's good, and that will help kind of mitigate some of the damage from, having to adjust to a new O-line for everyone. But I will say, look, I think that it actually works really to their advantage that they have a really strong run game that's a threat on every down, because I don't know how a defense is going to say, okay, well, I see Derrick Henry on the field, and I know Lamar Jackson's a rushing threat. Pick your poison, right? And then, of course, they have to figure out, which one of their receivers they're going to really hammer home. But to me, the Ravens this year probably, they have a hard schedule, obviously playing that first-place schedule in the North. Starting out even this week, it's really like what happens with their tight ends. How are they able to use those tight ends? Are they going to block? Are those 12 personnel formations, so 2 tight ends set, are they going to work for them and help them as they adjust to life with 3, so 60% of their O-line changing?
Visiting with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, and that, Derrick Henry back there, Lamar Jackson back there. One of the common myths of the NFL is you have to be successful running the ball to be successful on play action. You simply have to have the threat of the run. That's right. Exactly right. And Lamar has just been so much better in his career on play action than not. And I think that's certainly an impact of adding Derrick Henry, which can sort of mitigate a little bit of having 3 new offensive linemen if the Chiefs are loading up the box and expecting run, and there's a play action. Lamar Jackson against the Chiefs last year in the AFC Championship game on play action had 11.2 yards per attempt, and with no play action was 5.7.
Yep.
I think that's the impact even of Derrick Henry, even if they're not handing him the ball. The Chiefs are knowing they're going to have to gear up against Derrick Henry, against that running game, and I think there's going to be a very concerted specific effort to run the ball a lot versus the 2 handoffs they had in the second half in the AFC Championship game.
You think, or maybe they'll like double cross themselves and say, ha ha ha, I want them to overthink this. We're going to.
See, I know that you think that we think that you know and I know, but you know that I know, but you know, so therefore I know that you know, so I'm going to do this.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's great.
Because why not?
Yes, for sure. Visiting with Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Who's the biggest threat to the Chiefs this year, do you think, in the AFC to keep them from going to a Super Bowl?
To be honest with you, it's probably whoever makes the playoffs. When I do the math, the funny part about this year is, we're not going to say the playoff word after today, or I don't know. When did the Chiefs get superstitious about it? Like December. Anyways, we won't say it then. But when I'm doing the math right now and running the simulations, the Chiefs get that first place bye. So the most important bye in all of football this year, because the NFC is, again, this year way less stacked than the AFC. But the Chiefs get it in like almost 17% of my simulations. So for context, usually it's 9-10% for any team at this point in the season. So, significantly more for the Chiefs. So I think that it's, that one, like the roulette that will be the AFC playoffs. I mean, a 1-game sample size is just a more difficult path in the AFC than the NFC. It's probably a team that gets hot late. Like, I know a lot of people are thinking, okay, well, the Texans could get hot late. I think they'll kind of start hot. I think we'll know who they are pretty soon, and we'll see if C.J. Stroud can get through, now where teams are making defenses specifically for him, like from the jump, not mid-season on. It could be them for me, or, it sounds really strange, but it could also be someone that comes out of the East. I think the AFC East is really weird. It could easily be the Jets, the Bills, or the Dolphins that come out of this one. The Dolphins are a little banged up. I would like them a little more if they, I don't know how they're going to rush the passer with some injuries. So it could be either maybe the Dolphins or, which obviously if it's winter, clearly doesn't matter, but, the Dolphins or the Texans.
Okay. Let's look at tomorrow night then with the Chiefs and the Ravens. Who wins the game tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, I also compare it to last year just because I was curious. The The Chiefs actually win. I have at least a 4-point win. It's a very strong number for me for the Chiefs. It's a lower scoring game than some might expect. I don't know who those people might be, but they might not expect, not because of the Chiefs, though, but because of the Ravens.
Interesting. Okay, so at least a 4-point win in a lower scoring game. Yep. And then last one for
you.
In
a lower overall scoring game, not the Chiefs side.
Okay. Oh, interesting. All right, I like that. All right, who wins the Super Bowl, do you think? Who over who do you have winning the Super Bowl?
Well, there's folklore around the color of the Super Bowl logo. And have you seen that logo?
I haven't yet.
It's red and green. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that feels like a rematch of the Chiefs and the Eagles. But I'm just saying, red and green, just something to put out there. But that is actually who I have. I have Eagles and Chiefs. Right now, because of the way the math works out, I have the Eagles with a tiny bit of an edge, but that's because they have a stronger NFC schedule, so their wins leading up to the playoffs are stronger. But when I run a playoff model only, then it would be the Chiefs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so a full season. So maybe Philadelphia may be more likely in terms of an overall to be there, where
that's right.
KC,
if
it's just one specific game. Yeah.
That's right. The playoffs for the AFC are a nightmare, whereas the playoffs for the NFC aren't anywhere near as much of a nightmare. So that's why the nuance of the math works out right now, that should the Eagles make it to, the postseason, which of course that's what I have them doing, and same thing with the Chiefs, the Eagles just have an easier chance to make it to the big game than the Chiefs do.
Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert. Cynthia, as always, love the conversation, love the time, and looking forward to year number 4 and hanging out with you here every week on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for the time. Enjoy the football. We'll talk next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. And by the way, I had the best time in Kansas City this summer when I was there at the Linda Hall Library. Amazing place. Like, I really enjoyed my time there, and I got to come back way more often. Yes,
you do. And then next time you're back, we'll have you in studio. We'll have some barbecue here. We'll enjoy some lunch. We'll break some bread, and we'll talk some sports. We'll talk some NFL and numbers. How about that?
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Yes,
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Cynthia. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, there's Cynthia Freeland, NFL Network analytics expert, joining us, and this is year number 4. The first year was the game against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. It was that year, but the last 2 Super Bowl champions, going for a three-peat now.
She made me feel very unintelligent when she says she likes the under and talking about how some people have the over, and my whole, not even a hot take, I'm almost always under first couple weeks of the season because I just think that...
then that would make you feel more intelligent.
Well, normally it does, but I go, I'm going against my head and going with my heart, which, again, she uses her head because it's analytics.
Yeah.
I said I'm ripping the over for this game because I think the Chiefs' cornerback have some concerns early on. I think it gets figured out later on in the season. But I firmly expect the Chiefs' offense to get rolling early. But again, she sounds like it's more of the Ravens being the issue here, not the Chiefs.
Exactly, yes. Her numbers are, the NFL, when you look at the spreads, you're looking at 3-point spreads, 4-point spreads. You hardly see numbers unless there's a wide matchup difference.
Yeah.
That's going to be 5 or 6 or 7. And when she says, I have this as at least a 4-point win, she's like, which is a pretty decent number for her, algorithm, that at least a 4-point win. It's essentially saying the Chiefs are the heavy favorites in the model that she uses, and the scoring will be there. It'll be an under, but it won't be because of the Chiefs.
Right.
The under. So that's the advantage that the Chiefs have. They'll score, but she's not expecting the Ravens to score as much as maybe some people
We were
think.
talking about this, I think it was yesterday, because the Ravens, I believe, are going to come out and try and control the ball.
Just run.
Do exact opposite of what they did in the AFC Championship because they've heard it all offseason.
Yep, and I don't know that that's the smart move because I think it would be smarter for them to play off of what people think. And if Spags is thinking we're loading up the box because we got to stop the run, and like I said, the Lamar Jackson in his career is 3.5 yards more per attempt on play action.
And Derrick Henry's been a little bit inconsistent versus the Chiefs in his career. I think we all remember the one where they said they were going to run the ball like crazy, and he had like 63 yards in the playoffs. But in the 4 regular season games against the Chiefs, he's had 58 yards, 188 yards, 86 yards, and then 115. The playoffs, it was, I think, 63 or 69 around.
Like 3 or 4 in the second half.
Yeah, it was brutal. but I just have the regular season stats in front of me right now. But very inconsistent against the Chiefs. And again, it goes back. The most recent one in the regular season was 2022.
Well, and this is the first time that they've gone against Derrick Henry where there's more of a threat from the quarterback, like a legit threat from the quarterback. Because that
dual threat.
Yeah, exactly. That AFC Championship
Ryan
game.
Tannehill was a little dual threat.
A little bit, but it was like that AFC Championship game. It was, we're going to run the ball down their throats. And so the Chiefs were saying, Tannehill, I dare you to beat us with your arm.
Yeah, good point.
And he wasn't doing that. Lamar has shown an ability. I mean, he's been an MVP twice. He's shown an ability to win with his arm. An ability. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to be guys like, whether that be Joe Burrow or Josh Allen at times. But I think he's better with his arm than what some of the naysayers and the negative side of Lamar Jackson people think he is. But it's the first time there's a real actual threat of a phenomenal quarterback that can beat you in multiple ways and can throw a 60-yard touchdown or run a 60-yard touchdown while having to gear up for Derrick Henry.
I will also point out in the playoffs versus the Chiefs, in the regular season, he's averaged 111.8 because, again, the inconsistencies. That 188 kind of bolsters that one there in the 4 games. In the playoffs, he averages 112.5 yards per game against the Chiefs, 156 in the first playoff appearance, and then 69, nice, in the second one. So, again, Derrick Henry's been what Henry will the Chiefs be facing? The elite one where he goes for 150 plus, or the one where he gets shelled and stopped for 70 or less?
Well, I mean, Mariota, for his lack of being a passer, he was a dual threat guy in that game, because wasn't it that's the 2017 playoff,
that
right?
was the touchdown pass to himself.
So it might look more like that because of Lamar having his dual threat ability.
Yeah, but
also
even that
6
was
years
only
ago now, though. That's many miles ago on
that's a good point.
on Henry.
But even that game was what they scored 21 points.
Yeah,
in that game with and I think the Chiefs are going to get more than 21 in this game.
Don't bring up. I'm bringing it up. The forward progress, Derek Johnson.
I thought you were going to talk about
The ref retired after the game.
the Mariota to Mariota.
Was it Triplett?
touchdown.
Was it Jeff Triplett? Was that who it was?
Yes.
Yeah.
The ref retired after the game.
Yep.
And people have the audacity to say that the refs are on the Chiefs' side. A ref retired after
then.
the damn game.
They weren't on their side then. They were on the Patriots side then.
Nothing will ever make me more
then they
irritated
were.
than that particular call.
They didn't start getting on the Chiefs side until 2021. Even though the Chiefs lost to the Bengals, that's when it started.
What are you talking about? It was last year when Taylor Swift was in the suite.
Well, no, it started before that because it was not a holding call in the Eagles
That's
game.
right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And getting past the Bengals, like they had the Bengals AFC Championship game for the Chiefs, the one that they ended up winning, that was so one-sided in favor of the Chiefs there. I mean, it was ridiculous how one-sided it is if you ask anybody from Cincinnati. But if you were to follow my Twitter account the next 2 days after that, you'll see that there were lots of missed calls that went against the Chiefs.
You know what,
but you don't pay attention to those. It doesn't matter.
You know what
because
losers do?
What do they do?
Complain about the refs.
You know what winners do?
Win.
They go home and date the prom queen. First of many conversations we will have with Cynthia throughout this football season, heading into February 9th, I believe that's the date. February 9th?
I will say the Chiefs are the consensus betting favorite, one of the most popular picks to win, and they are plus 500. How crazy is that? Plus 500 to win the Super Bowl.
It's pretty legit. It is February 9th, by the way. I was starting to doubt myself. I'm like, was it February 11th? No, February 9th. February 9th. February 11th or 12th is when the parade's going to be. So February 9th is when the Super Bowl will take place in Nollins. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us to be a part of the show. 913-912-4810. It's interesting you're talking about, like, picking and who the favorite is to win the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Chiefs back-to-back Super Bowl champions, so it could be easy just to say the Chiefs are going to win and three-peat, although it would also be difficult to say that there would actually be a three-peat for the first time. So you would think most people would then go against the grain and say, yeah, I wasn't even picking this team to repeat last year, let alone picking a team to win 3 in a row. NFL.com has their preseason predictions that they released. 28 analysts picking the Super Bowl. And it wasn't just Super Bowl winner, it was Super Bowl matchup. And of the 28 analysts, 9 of them picked the Chiefs to win. The second most was the 49ers with 5.
Sure.
So almost double the second place. Third most, Green Bay with 3.
Wow.
And then Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Detroit were tied with 2 selections. And then Buffalo, Chicago, Jacksonville.
What?
That was Maurice Jones-Drew. New York Jets and Philly had 1 pick to win the Super Bowl.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I love when former players or analysts and stuff, it's great, but it's just Jacksonville. Like, there's no ounce of objectivity there. It's just because you played for Jacksonville.
It was somebody but MJD. I'm like, all right, so what are they going with here? Why are they going this route? You know, maybe a much improved offense. Brian Thomas Jr. does that. Okay, no, so you got another year with those bookend defensive ends there. Okay, maybe there's then I looked at it, Maurice Jones-Drew. I'm like, oh, that's why. Okay, let me move on to the next one.
Yeah.
As to the other selections, but
Green Bay's probably the most surprising for me.
There's 3 of them.
With the 3 people picked Green Bay to win the Super Bowl, because I think there's a case to be made that there could be some regression happening in Green Bay. Maybe not necessarily regular season, but I think playoff version too. As good as Jordan Love was last year, there were some inconsistencies with the underlying performances of him. Like, I think C.J. Stroud's much more consistent to almost replicate what he did last year.
Yeah.
Maybe a slight step back, but as far as replication of his play style, I think it's more year-to-year consistent. Jordan Love, some of the completion percentages, some of the throws he made, there's a lot of variance in Jordan Love and in his game. Not saying he's a bad quarterback, but I think he's getting crowned a little too early, and in the same sense, Green Bay is getting crowned a little too soon.
The selections to lose the Super Bowl, because it was, they picked a team to win and then beating which team. The team that had the most Super Bowl losses, Detroit. 6 people had Detroit losing in the Super Bowl. The next most was Green Bay, and the Chiefs tied with 4. So 13 of the 28 analysts had the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, either winning or losing the Super Bowl. 13 of this, almost damn near half, one away from being half of the analysts that were picking at NFL.com, NFL Network, had the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
25% in Green Bay.
Yeah, Green Bay had 7 of them. So 7. So the Chiefs with 13. The second most appearances in the Super Bowl was Detroit with 8. 2 picked them to win, 6 picked them to lose in the Super Bowl. So 8 appearances, 8 different analysts had Detroit going to the Super Bowl. So it was 13 for the Chiefs, 8 for Detroit, 7 for Green Bay, 6 for San Francisco. Only 1 person had San Francisco losing. So 5 picking them to win, 1 picking them to lose. So only 6 people had San Francisco in the Super Bowl out of the 28 analysts. And then Cincinnati got 5.
Okay.
Baltimore got 3. The Jets got 3. Philly got 2. And then Jacksonville, Chicago, and Buffalo got 1.
So it's a lot of, if the Chiefs make it, they're beating San Fran. If another team...
No, if the Chiefs are making it, they're beating Green Bay or Detroit.
I guess,
Because San Francisco only has one Super Bowl
loss.
loss.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
And then but if the Chiefs don't make it, then San Fran's most likely. Okay, that
So
makes some sense.
They had Detroit and Green Bay were 10 Super Bowl losses. 10 of the 28 had Detroit or Green Bay losing.
NFC North had Detroit, Green Bay, and Chicago.
And Chicago got 1. Got us. So I got to go back and look at who picked Chicago because I just wrote down the numbers. I didn't. The only one I made a note of that it was MJD with Jacksonville. If New Orleans had been picked, then I would say, all right, then that's David Carr.
David Carr, yeah. Detroit's kind of interesting here, where they've slowly gone up the leaderboards of they've put their dues in, they're making it farther seemingly every single year. But they're no longer the darlings, really.
Yeah, it's not a sexy pick. Last year was a sexy pick for Detroit to make a run in the playoffs. This year, it's a legitimate selection if you pick Detroit to go to the Super Bowl.
And all the books are exposed on Detroit because it's the second most bet.
Really?
That's what it looks like so far for most of these. It's like 19%, 11%. Like a lot of their books are exposed with Detroit. I don't see it. Like, I think Detroit's a good team. I really do. I wouldn't be surprised, I should say. But I really do think it's San Fran. They're the clear-cut number one in the NFC. And then that next tier down, you have the Eagles. You have Detroit. You have, I personally believe, the Falcons. I'm shocked we didn't see more Falcons because they have the easiest schedule by far of any team in the NFL. I'm shocked we didn't hear more Cowboys, quite frankly, because regular season
zero, not even more than zero. Dallas,
but I think Dallas is still in that same category as Detroit. Maybe I'm wrong here, but they're not sneaking up on any team anymore. It's no longer like, look what Detroit's doing. It's like, no, we're playing Detroit. That's a damn good team. We're up for them.
Yeah. Cynthia had winning the Super Bowl, Eagles over Chiefs. And she laid the caveat. There was really two different selections that she had. So preseason, as the season starts right now, she has Philadelphia over Kansas City when you run the entire season. As she said, the AFC is more of a gauntlet.
Yeah.
So Philadelphia has a better chance of even getting there from the course of the season. But she said when you then go through and run it from these are the teams that make the playoffs, because the Chiefs have by far the highest percentage chance in the AFC of getting the 1 seed, is 17%.
Really?
She said usually preseason it's about 9 or 10%, and the Chiefs are at 17% to get the 1 seed. So then when you stack them, when she runs the season 50,000 times, and then you seed them running the playoffs 50,000 times, the Chiefs are the most likely Super Bowl winner. So then she said she's got the Chiefs. So she'll update it as the season goes along, and as the playoffs start, she'll do that. But it makes sense there when it's like, okay, you have fewer games, and the Chiefs have the number 1 seed in the AFC. Her model picks the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The season with variances along the way and an easier route through the playoffs in the NFL or the NFC. Right now, it's Philly that she has. And again, only one person at NFL.com picking the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, 2 picking the Eagles to lose the Super Bowl.
Well, it's interesting. I think the Eagles have a great team. I think it's like a broken record.
I haven't seen much Eagles talk about Super Bowl this year.
No, but it's like a broken record. I think Howie Roseman did a great job.
Yeah.
But at some point, you have to have a head coach, and I just don't think that Nick Sirianni is a good head coach. I think that if Doug Peterson was still there, I think they'd have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl, because I do think there's a good roster there. Their one weakness was their secondary.
Amazing.
And what their weakness was their secondary. Now there's some youth. They drafted 2 cornerbacks in the top 40. Cooper DeJean and not Terrion Arnold. It was because he went to Detroit. It was
Wiggins went to
no, not
Baltimore.
Nate Wiggins. It was not Terrion Arnold. It was 18th overall or something like that.
Yeah.
Not 18th.
I know they got Cooper DeJean in like the second
Yeah,
round.
It was second round. That's
but not
40.
Cooper. Yeah.
It was not the guy from Toledo, because that's Terrion Arnold, right? It's doesn't matter.
You talk, I'll look it up.
They got another first rounder, but that was their weakness was the secondary. They brought back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I'm shocked there hasn't been actually more Eagles hype again in an NFC that is, frankly, pretty top heavy.
It was the Toledo corner.
It was a Toledo corner.
Quinyon Mitchell.
Yep. Quinyon Mitchell, thank you. That was going to drive me insane.
Yeah, Arnold was Alabama.
Yeah, and he went to Detroit. So they got Quinyon Mitchell, and so they did a good job, in my opinion, of bolstering their weaknesses. Now, again, they're both rookie corners. We'll see. But I am a little surprised that you're getting more love for Detroit, more love for Green Bay, when, quite frankly, I think the Eagles are almost flying, pun intended, under the radar.
And Detroit attacked the secondary that they had to attack. Their secondary was getting attacked, and so they got Arnold. They got Rakestraw.
Yes.
They landed free agency.
They kind of the same thing as the Eagles, where they knew their weakness and they went all in on it.
Yeah. I can't remember who they got in free agency, dadgummit. But they brought in 3 new cornerbacks that, 2 of them coveted in the draft. A first rounder. Rakestraw was
Carlton Davis.
Carlton Davis, thank you. Because we were talking about Carlton Davis from Tampa. Is he going to end up in Kansas City? They lose Snead, but maybe you go get Carlton Davis. And then Carlton Davis ended up in Detroit. And then they drafted Arnold. Then they drafted Rakestraw. Like, they did the Brett Veach thing.
Yes.
We are going to attack. Maybe some would say it's on the extreme, but we're going to attack that weakness. And
what is their weakness now? Because, like, if they attacked that, I I'm trying to think. Offensive line's one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I guess would it be Jared Goff?
But he's
No,
been to a
I
Super
think
Bowl, though.
Jared
I
Goff
agree.
is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in. Well, not based on contract, but I think on perception.
If they play home games, I like Detroit, but his splits last year, and maybe it'll be different this year. And his splits home road were pretty
He
stark.
goes to Green Bay.
with Jared
Well,
Goff.
he's it's the same thing in LA with the Rams. Great weather. Him in a dome. They got a dome.
Yeah, they got a dome.
Him
and that is actually who they were talking about. They got a dome in Detroit. They got a dome. But his splits were pretty stark last year. So if they play home games, and I like that, they've got the receivers. They got the pass rusher. They've got the linebackers, and they were getting torched in the secondary, and they went and attacked that with 3 guys to, day one, day 2, and then going and getting Carlton Davis that was coveted from Tampa.
Maybe I'm a little too low on Detroit. I'm not low on Detroit. I think they're a top 4 team in the NFC, but maybe I'm not giving them enough in that tier of the Eagles and Niners.
I just think it's like last year it was a sexy, fun pick.
Agreed.
I'm going with Detroit. This year it's like, yeah, absolutely. I can totally see Detroit doing it. They're legit. They're a good enough team to be there.
They were like 2 quarters away from the Super Bowl. They were beating the Niners in San Francisco.
Right.
Good point.
We were so close to having a Chiefs-Lions zone Cynthia Freeland Super Bowl. It would have been so. That was unnecessary for me to bring up the Lions there. When I that was it's just
Lions
because
fan.
I know, but I was talking to Cynthia and I was like, because we were talking about the boring Super Bowl that Patrick Mahomes said it wasn't as much fun, and I'm like, yeah, any team would love to have Lions fans would love to have a boring Super Bowl. And I was like, you know what, Cynthia, I should have gone with the Bills or the Bengals. She's like, no, it's all good. I get it. Like, yeah, but that's unnecessary. I shouldn't have brought that up. You're a Lions fan. You had the video of you crying when they won the playoff game. You are a true through and through Lions fan, and that was unnecessary. I should just keep it with Bengals and Bills. That's the way I should keep it. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour next. All right, coming up on the other side of the break, an hour from now, actually, we're going to talk with Mick Schaefer. He'll be hanging out with us. We got the Chiefs zone over-unders today, Chiefs ZOUs. We'll get into those. I think we have 17 different categories that we are doing today.
Yes.
We had 10 for the Royals. We have 17 for the Chiefs today.
Who lost last year? Was that you?
Yeah, it's the first time I've lost on the Chiefs because I'm typically an overly optimistic person in picking these. And so it's been perfectly fine every other Chiefs season. Last year, when the offense had the season that it did, didn't work in my favor last year. So we'll do that coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. On the other side of the break, we'll get into our top 3 players that we will be watching in this game against the Ravens tomorrow to have the impact or studying, whatever way we want to describe it. That comes up next. All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. An hour from now, we will get our zone over-unders with the Chiefs. Chiefs get ready for the Ravens tomorrow night. Talked with Cynthia Freeland last hour. Got into a conversation with her about this Chiefs team, the three-peat. Why? We don't talk about topics before the conversation, which is one of the things I love about, having Cynthia on is like one of the things that I think makes her really good is that she's prepared for all the different questions. And I wanted to talk to her today. I asked Adam Teicher yesterday, and we were just sort of talking about them finding ways to win and how rare it is that that a team is getting ready for a three-peat.
Yeah.
Because it's so difficult to win one Super Bowl. And we went through just sort of the plays that were made in the 2022 season in the playoffs, the AFC Championship game against the Bengals. Even Patrick Mahomes not being injured as bad as he could have been, even though it was pretty rough, unless you ask a Bengals fan that he was faking it or embellishing. But winning that game, winning the game against the Eagles, doing what they had to do. Last year, going on the road and beating Buffalo and making the plays late, beating Baltimore, fumble in the end zone, interception in the end zone, making those plays, and then against San Francisco coming back from a 10-point deficit and having to score on the last two possessions. Either of those last two possessions, the Chiefs don't get points. The 49ers have won the Super Bowl. We're not talking about a three-peat. So we were just sort of discussing that yesterday with Adam, which then I'm like, okay, with Cynthia, is there a way to quantify these high-variance plays that the Chiefs seem to make more than others? And she was like, well, actually, I just spent part of the summer studying that. Like, oh, I honestly had no idea. And what she said was too small a sample size right now to really tell, with that. But you do have guys that are better quarterbacks in the NFL, that those teams, when that person is on the field, tend to make more of those high-variance plays go in their favor. And, she also mentioned, like, coaches that have been a part of, like, running an architect of an offense or a defense, and then they're the head coach, sometimes, and they've been the head coach for a while. There's certain variables, but too small of a sample size. And I do really wonder if it's one of those things to where it starts to build on itself, where you would think the more higher variance plays that you come away with and you are on the positive side of, you would think eventually that would level out, that you're not going to get that quote-unquote luck. And I wonder if, the mindset and between the ears of the more higher variance plays you come away with, does that start to build on itself because then you believe you're going to be the one that makes the plays, and you can almost sort of, you've got those mental health strategies of sort of picturing where you want to be and manifesting something to come to fruition. And guys, before games, will visualize how they want to play, right? If you start to almost, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy to a degree, that you believe you're going to make the plays and be the ones that have those high variance plays go in their favor, and you do.
Yeah.
Or if it is just simply a string of luck in the NFL that the ball bounces certain ways, that Leo Chanel punches the ball right as McCaffrey, the ball is a little bit away from his chest. The ball pops out right to where Karlaftis can see it.
Sure.
Karlaftis immediately pounces on it, and the Chiefs get that ball.
L'Jarius Sneed knocking the ball out of Zay Flowers.
Punching in a 1 in 50,000 play.
Dan Sorensen using his dome to get in the. Was that against Cleveland?
That was against Cleveland.
Yeah.
Because Browns fans say they would have won if that would have been called correctly. But still, that's fine, whatever. But like those higher variance plays that go your way, don't go your way, the Chiefs seem to have made them a lot.
Yeah.
They didn't make them in the second half against the Bengals in 2021, so they don't make them every single time. They had chances against the Patriots. The highest variance play of that whole thing was the coin flip, as it turned out.
Yeah.
But they also could have made stops on 3rd and long, and Edelman had that Brady had the amazing pass to Edelman that had like a half-inch window.
Yeah.
And Edelman caught it, and it was a first down. You're like, mother bleeper. Don't even have to get into the offsides, right? I mean, certain plays along the way. But this team has done that and made a lot of these plays. But even in the year they lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game, they came away with a number of those plays against the Bills. Especially a very specific couple of plays where they 13 seconds and they get the field goal and then they go and score in overtime, and they're making the plays there. Buffalo made a lot of plays too.
Sure. Let's even the Eagles. I mean, Jalen Hurts, they played a perfect game almost outside of Hurts dropping the football and Bolton taking it back. But I think that's always what separates, I would say, elite teams from great and great from good and good from average. Because every NFL, it's built for parity. Yeah. It's built for parity.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
built. It's who can make one or two more plays than your opponent. And the Chiefs have seemingly found a way. It's what good coaching does. It's what Mahomes and the players do. To the front office, there's just so much, so many small things that happen in any game, and we always look at what were the big takeaways. But if this would have happened, if Mahomes would have made the pass to, or Tyreek would have got in the end zone, or we always point out, Hurts dropped the football, but they could have stopped him too. They couldn't stop the Chiefs.
Hurts dropped the football, but also they had a false start.
Sure,
so it was third down and a half yard, and they were going to go to the 92%er. They were going to go to the tush push, the brotherly shove, and it was a false start, which then it was 3rd and 6. And then Nick Bolton and Chris Jones go to Spags. I think there might have been a timeout or something at that point. But they go to Spags, and they run a play that Nick Bolton had been talking about, and Steve Spagnuolo talked about this too after the Super Bowl. And it might have been on one of those NFL specials that they do, 15 of them after you win the Super Bowl. But they knew that Chris Jones was the center of attention, so they had Chris Jones, who was lined up over the guard, crash down onto Jason Kelce, so it pulled the guard, who was straight up on Chris Jones. The guard then goes into Kelce, which allowed Nick Bolton to blitz because they thought it was going to be a Jalen Hurts keeper. So they were saying Jalen Hurts is going to fake the handoff and keep it. Bolton and Jones saying, we need to run this play where Chris crashes down and takes those two guys, leaves Bolton wide open. They didn't expect Jalen Hurts to then drop the football, but Jalen Hurts didn't expect to look up and see Nick Bolton in his face.
Agreed.
Not only drop it, but kick it towards our end zone, away from any of his players as well.
But that's sort of
panic too, by the way. You must say, because you're right, he didn't expect Nick Bolton to be in his grill.
But it's also preparation opportunity. The Chiefs had an idea of what the Eagles were going to run on 3rd and 6. They had an answer. They had a strategy for that particular play. They had a playmaker in a dominant force in Chris Jones, who was on the field and allowed them to then take two guys in that middle of their defense, and a guy like Nick Bolton that was in the right place who was going to, make the tackle. You needed Jalen Hurts to drop the ball, but the other things leading up to that was preparation meeting opportunity and being prepared in that moment.
It looks like luck, but you create your own luck to an extent.
Yes.
It's kind of what it comes down to. And I will always say again, the variance in the NFL is so small. And when the Chiefs were a 8-9 team or a 9-8 team, or even when they were not that, how many games came down to a final play, or you look back at one specific play and go, well, if the Chiefs would have made that play, they would have won the game. That's what teams now do against the Kansas City Chiefs without taking in totality. Well, what if the Chiefs would have made that play? What if this would have gone the other way? What if that 98-yard interception return for a touchdown did not happen? Because that was kind of lucky, right? I just think we always look at one play that went against the team, while sometimes forgetting that how many plays go that team's way? How many times is Kadarius Toney going to fumble the ball into a guy? But teams are like, well, but what if this would have happened too?
McCole Hardman fumbled through the end zone in Buffalo, and it's the Chiefs survived because Josh Allen missed a wide open receiver in the end zone. Right, but that was after the Chiefs had full control of the game, and on 1st down and goal at the 2, McCole Hardman reached out and fumbled the ball into the end zone.
That's what elite teams do, though.
Chiefs would have taken the lead and had a stranglehold on the Bills at that point.
Mistakes happen in every single game, and the elite teams know how to overcome them.
And it's also preparation, too. How much was there a discussion about overtime in the Super Bowl in that the Chiefs were fully prepared and the 49ers were talking about the rules on the sideline?
Yeah.
49ers players were going, did you know that even if we score, they still get the ball?
And they're a well-coached, great organization, and they still had those mistakes.
And the whole turning point, another NFL, network special. And not many things will surprise Patrick Mahomes in the NFL. But the 49ers choosing to receive the football did just that.
Yeah.
And then it zooms in on Mahomes going, sort of looking like, are they getting the ball? Oh, okay. Guys, they took the ball. That's what we want. Guys, they chose to receive. You know the meetings we've had about what we want to do if this goes into overtime? You know the conversations and the time we've spent on this scenario?
Yeah.
On the off chance it happens for the how many times in Super Bowl history of going into overtime? On the off chance, we've discussed this. We've talked about this. We've prepared. They took the ball. Did you guys know that if they score, we still have to go play defense? If we score, they still get the ball? Even if we score a touchdown? Did you guys know that? Dang, that's crazy, man.
If the time runs out, that somehow the game's not over.
Yeah, yeah. Even
it didn't matter, but
even on the broadcast, it was like the time's running out. Like, well, it's not going to matter. It's not like the end of the half. You know, they're still going to get. It's just like you're playing.
It's like
game.
a quarter, basically.
You just switch sides of the field.
Yeah,
you know, that's it. Because even like time was running down, Andy, and you decided to keep the offense out there and keep. Yeah, time was running down in the first quarter. We wouldn't sort of look at it like that the first or third quarter. But the Chiefs being ready for that and having at least a little time spent to educate the team on this is what we want to do if we go into overtime. The rules are different in overtime. We want everybody to make sure we're on the same page for overtime. And the 49ers were learning it in real time.
And I'd have to go look at the all 22 for that play, but I almost believe McColl was so wide open because the Niners almost thought, oh, the quarter's running out. They're going to let it run out to get a fresh play, more time, talk about it.
Really
so
good
they
point.
were probably sitting there thinking, well, they're not going to run this. And then they did.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the Marino fake spike almost.
I love Dylan. Dylan just sits back
I love you
there
too.
like he just sits back there just biding his time, and then he just has every
it's a little
comment.
early for love. You know, we're still kind of hanging out now.
It's
so.
been like 6 months.
It's like it.
How many months has it been now since we've been together on this show?
I just appreciate that you said it first, so thank you.
Aw.
And Dylan then said thank you.
Yeah.
I love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just love his
Was it
the
did I say
few
it too
comments he makes are just so well thought out, Dylan. I'm impressed.
I said it too soon. You just love that the Chiefs were prepared for that, and the 49ers are learning about the overtime rules at the same time as Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Like they're all learning together.
Yep.
Like, hold on, is the game over?
Is there a
it
song
not?
about this?
They're all learning it together. Like, it's just unbelievable.
And the guy
man.
from Harvard too is like the main shot on NFL films of. I didn't know that. I didn't know the rules. Basically, is use check. So
Yeah, right. But yeah, and tonight is the narrated by Paul Rudd. Right,
it's my Super Bowl. Yeah.
What's
America's
it called?
Game.
America's Game. Yeah, NFL America's Game tonight. At
And then they come out with
7?
they call it Times Yours or Times Ours or but then they do like a coach's version after
Yeah,
where
it's
they
Andy
interview all
Reid.
the assistants and Andy and
NBA Times Yours with Andy.
yeah.
I mean, so
And with that, time's yours.
and with that,
It was do your
Times
job
Yours.
with the Patriots.
Yeah, looking forward to the challenge of facing off against any team we're playing, how well coached they are, you know, with that time's yours. Hollywood Brown has been officially ruled out for tomorrow, in case people were wondering if there was an off chance he was going to play. I don't think anybody was wondering that, but he has been officially ruled out of tomorrow's game. So we'll see if he plays against the Bengals. We've talked about it. The expectation is week 3 against the Falcons. If he's out there for that.
Schefter
game.
pointed out something, by the way. Remember last year who got signed by the Bengals after a long holdout on the night of the game? His name was Joe Burrow. So if anyone's wondering when Jamar Chase,
But that wasn't
might
really
get,
a holdout, though, because I mean
No,
it was a
but-
contract dispute. You know,
but they were.
yeah. It was,
I think that was a little planned.
Yeah.
So if you're
I,
wondering when Jamar Chase might get signed, it might be Thursday.
That's a good call.
We'll see. I don't know. Today, I haven't looked at the update if he's at practice today, because today they were talking about
Well,
it.
he's like been there, but like just
But today's the game plan install.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So like Wednesday is a pretty crucial day if you're going to be out there practicing. Now he would know about the game plan because he's at practice. He's just not practicing. But on the field, sort of going through the plays with the install and practicing them in real time with the timing. And you've got scout out there as opposed to being in civilian clothes watching. You know,
I was thinking, like, how long is it going to take him to get ramped up if this lasts until next week?
I don't know how long. I mean, let's be real now. He's been there a few years now and with the same quarterback. And
I think. Are you talking about physically though?
Physically, yes.
physically?
Physically
Yes.
in the NFL, like taking the hits,
Sure.
your body ready to go through a game where you're running max speed. Like you can try to run max speed when you're practicing, but it's a different speed when the game actually starts, and that's why you have some preseason games or you have some joint practices to try to get your body ready for when the game is that fast and you're playing every snap at that speed. It's not well, I've been practicing a little, and now I'm at that speed, and now I've just torn my hamstring.
Yeah, I'm going to go across the middle because I've been, they're thudding and rapping, and that's
thud.
it.
Yeah, the thud. Yeah, right.
And so
I that's why I tried to tell Bengals fans all along. I feel bad, not really feel bad, but like their ownership, they don't take care of their guys. They this is what happens. And
wait, didn't you see? They're selling TVs. They're going to pay Jamar. That's why I think it's going to happen Thursday.
They're
they were
selling TVs.
a bunch of TVs.
Yeah,
I guess.
But no, I just people's fans view windows way differently than I think they should. They think, oh, we have Joe Burrow, we drafted Jamar Chase, we drafted T. Higgins, our window's open for so long, until you come up to the fact that you have to pay Joe Burrow. An organization doesn't really like to pay guys like that. T. Higgins has that unrest. He finally showed up. Jamar Chase yet to get paid. Your window is 4 years almost if you're a Bengals fan because they don't pay the dudes.
Yeah.
Chiefs fans, at least you have already had Mahomes on a second contract, and he's shown that he can do it without Tyreek Hill. The Bengals have shown they can't win a Super Bowl even with T. Higgins, even with Joe Burrow, even with Jamar Chase. And they've already lost a lot of pieces defensively. What happens now when Trey Hendrickson's contract's up?
Yeah.
There already that dispute there. They already lost Jesse Bates went to Atlanta. I mean,
they got Geno Stone, though.
They got Geno Stone, and they
addition.
brought back Von Bell. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're not going to be competitive this year. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that window in Cincy is not quite as open as I think a lot of those fans believe it to be.
Joe Burrow said his career. The window is his career. Which, I mean, to a
Making
degree,
the playoffs, sure.
To a degree, the window of winning a Super Bowl, if you've got a franchise quarterback in today's day and age, you've got a chance.
They're about to
every
become
year.
the Chargers.
Yeah, but you're going to have to see if you can get taken care of by, whether it be the ownership or the decisions that are made in the front office as to who gets paid and who you have to walk away from. You don't walk away from Jamar Chase. I mean,
agreed.
I
think. By the way, I think Jamar Chase does get paid and stays in Cincinnati. But
I do too, yeah.
I think T. Higgins is gone. I think Trey Hendrickson's probably gone. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of congrats. You have Joe and Jamar. Mm-hmm. But what else is on this team?
And it was a reporter for, I think it was ESPN 1530 in Cincinnati, and the way that he described it was, he said, Joe Burrow is the car, or he's the driver. Joe Burrow is the driver. Jamar Chase is the engine.
Yeah.
For the offense. That Jamar Chase is the engine that makes the offense go. Burrow's the one driving it, and distributing the football. But without Jamar Chase, you have a much less engine. You're not winning the race.
It's Flintstones. You have your feet on the.
Yeah, I love that description. That because Mahomes is the driver and the engine.
Yeah,
it's essentially
he's the whole car.
Yeah, and you've got guys that are. You need some tires. You need some gas. Right, Kelsey and Andy Reid can be the NOS that take you up a level. Maybe Xavier Worthy is now the NOS. I don't know.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that.
All right, so we will on the other side get into the three players. The plan was there, but I enjoyed that conversation. We'll get into the three players that we're going to be paying attention to tomorrow, whether that be the ones that'll have the most impact, the ones that could be the X factor. We'll all have our own personal descriptions as to why we're watching or focusing or thinking there are three players that we might single out for tomorrow night's game. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, we will hang out with Mick Schaefer. We'll get our zone over-unders going on with the Chiefs. Tomorrow, we'll go through our Super Bowl winners, what we think of the Chiefs and record and Rookie of the Year, MVPs, things like that. We'll get into some of those things tomorrow leading into the Chiefs and Ravens tomorrow night. Pre-game, post-game right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB tonight, 6 o'clock. It is Arrowhead Pride with Pete Sweeney and Jack Johnson, 6 o'clock. And then Bethany Bowman at 8 o'clock. And then Covell Hudson at 9 o'clock tonight. 913-912-4810. All right, let's get into the three players that we'll be watching and paying attention to and wondering about X factors, impact. You know, we sort of left this open to each of us to decide how we wanted to describe why we chose certain players. Could be, you know, biggest impact in the game. Could be somebody that you just simply want to watch. Could be somebody that you think could be an X factor. Could be somebody who wears his jersey really well. You know, it's totally up to you. Sterling, should we start with number 1 or number 3? What do you think? It's up to you. You get to choose this time.
Really?
Yeah, you get to
Start
choose.
with number 2. Let's just really make it.
All right, it's now out of your hands. Dylan, you get to choose. All right, the one time you had a chance to choose, you lost it. You had an opportunity and you lost it.
Let's start with 1.5.
All right, you're out too. All right, Jack, can Jack get into here? Can we ask Mick?
Hang on.
4?
1 or 3?
We'll start with 3.
Start with 3, okay? Because you've always complained when I'm like, all right, let's go through our players. Let's go at number 1. Who do we think? Number 1, you got to build up to number 1. That's what it sounds.
Was that what it sounds like in your ears?
Now you know
Okay.
what you just sounded like right there. That's how it's coming
Nails.
through.
Great.
Yeah, it's
Good.
like one of those translators.
Good.
You know? There's no team that can beat the Chiefs.
It's like C.W. McCall. We're just like convoy. You know, no one knows.
I'll take your word for it.
No one knows
It's
C.W.
probably-
McCall.
No, it's probably a really good reference.
When
for
you
those
do
that got it.
the, okay,
It's probably a
No.
good reference for those that got
The
it.
truck drivers right now understood that, and they understood
Great.
that right there.
That's
Shout out
awesome.
truck
Heck yeah.
drivers,
10-4.
the backbone of America, right there.
There they are. Father-in-law, truck driver, 40 years.
Oh yeah, my
40 of 'em.
Fiance's family, a lot of them.
Yeah.
But we talk about Convoy. It's a great song.
Nice.
C.W. McCall.
There you go. Now he's a hole-in-one ace specialist is what he is, my father-in-law. 7 of them.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah.
Have you seen any, or is he
Same
just throw 'em
course
in there?
or what?
Yeah.
Couple different courses, yeah.
Have-
a number of them on the same
Have
course.
you been a witness to one, or is he
Oh, no, the
just
other,
telling you?
No, the other people. He's got trophies and,
Oh.
and stuff. For,
Let's
and
take
the
him to
ball for-
Smiley's and
for
just
each
get
one
free
of 'em.
beer.
for each one of them. Yeah, so it's
I like that.
There hasn't been a hole-in-one that he's been, you know,
Alone
playing
for.
a single.
Yeah.
Guys, I swear you gotta. You don't have a vid. No, it's maybe there is one that he just hasn't claimed. I'm not sure, but when you got 7, you're
I was
like,
gonna say,
why
once
am
you
I
get to,
gonna
like,
lie?
why am I gonna
Or
lie now?
Why am I
Yeah.
gonna lie about 7? I mean, they know I've got 7, so clearly, like there are so many people without 1. I mean, it's like I just want one.
He's a good man because I would lie. I'd be
This-
bumping
Wow,
that up.
why would you
every-
lie,
I'm like,
Dylan?
yeah, it's 8 now.
This
Dylan.
This
9.
freaking guy just bogarting all the hole-in-ones out there. So there are 6 other people that are like, man, I would just like 1, and he's like, yeah.
There's
I
a
got
finite amount of
I got all of
hole-in-ones
you.
out there.
That's
and he's
exactly right. He's got.
It's like Bitcoin. There's only so many, and
Only a
he's
little
mined
bit.
them all.
That's right. All right. So number 3 for me, and this is just somebody that I think it's somebody that will have an important part of the game tomorrow, but it's also somebody that we just have to see what he's going to look like. Number 3 for me is Kingsley Suamataia.
Okay.
Because you're protecting Mahomes' backside. It is the first game that he is going to be playing every single snap. And luckily, he's not going against Jadeveon Clowney tomorrow. But I also think, you know, on Sunday Sound Off, on Sunday I was asked, what do you think, what's your expectation for Kingsley Suamataia on Thursday? And my answer was, my expectation is that he'll have help with a tight end, a running back. They'll game plan around him. They did it for Wanya Morris last year when they were bringing him along, in that they had a number of things to protect him. They didn't just say, okay, Juan, you're the left tackle. You just got to be the left tackle. You know,
Yeah.
got to be out there and be Trent Williams. That's just how we're going to run our offense. No, Kingsley will be helped out with some chips, some double teams, some sliding Joe Tooney over there if you have to. Running back staying in from going out on a route to help out with Kingsley. That'll happen. And there'll be some plays where, he'll hold his own and the running back can get out on a route. There might be some plays to where, thank God, he was helped on that because he needed that help.
Yeah.
But that's certainly a guy that I'll be paying attention to and watching, and I think will have an impact on the game depending on how he plays.
So for my 3, I went with 2 guys, but it's basically why I think, which I kind of came up with this creation, so I feel like I'm allowed to.
Good for you, yeah.
But Nick Bolton and Leo Chenal.
Okay.
It's a combo. I think Drew does his job, but he's obviously more of he does it all, but that's more pass coverage linebacker. Nick Bolton with the brace, how does he handle it? He's back, he's healthy, but he's not played in the preseason. He's coming back off of that injury. I want to see how Bolton handles this. And then Leo Chenal, I don't know his role yet. This seems like it should be a big Leo Chenal game. It was against San Fran. It was against kind of the Ravens last year, and it was against the Eagles. Against run-heavy teams, Leo Chenal seemingly has a large impact. Well, you're playing the Ravens. This should be a Leo Chenal game on paper. He's filling in now for, obviously, Willie Gay Jr., who's now gone.
He started last year in the AFC Championship game. The 3 linebackers were Bolton, Tranquil, and Chenal. And I know Willie Gay was dealing with the injury and everything, but again, those 3 linebackers starting are the same 3 linebackers starting tomorrow night.
He's not looked good in preseason. There's not really been that buzz around Leo, yet he always seemingly shows up in big games. Big game week 1. I think this is a chance for Leo to really put his name out there and say, hey, I'm a consistent guy, not just a specialist. So for me, number 3 is Leo.
Big game Leo, that's what they call him. Dylan, what was your number 3?
My number 3 is Trent McDuffie. I'm excited to see him play outside as a corner 1 and take on the team's number 1 receiver because it's way different than the slot. And also he's going to hopefully get a lot more recognition than he already has from his Super Bowl performance because it's kind of like being a left tackle versus a right tackle when you're a slot versus an outside corner. When you are just crushing the league as an outside corner, you become that much more popular. So I'm hoping that he becomes a household name this year.
I like it. Number 2 for me is right along the same lines with Dylan, and that is just like the number 2 cornerback spot. What happens in the game tomorrow? Going with Jalen Watson, at least that's the depth chart. Who knows if that's exactly who's going to come out there on the first play starting. Is it Najee Johnson that plays more? Josh Williams playing more? Because there is an expectation and a given of what you're getting from Trent McDuffie. But how do they go about utilizing, deploying the other players they have in that cornerback, that secondary room? And then, along with that, I'm not, combining the two. It's specifically number 2 cornerback. But, you've got Connor that's playing the slot and Jaden Hicks, how he's utilized. But really, like that secondary, the usage of those guys, how Spags is who he has trust in on certain downs and certain reps and maybe against certain wide receivers, just who's out there. Because if that's a hole, then it is an area that if the Ravens are getting the run game stopped, the last thing you want to do is have 3rd and 8 and they throw to a wide open Zay Jones being guarded by Jalen Watson, and now it's a first down. And now start again. So
Zay Flowers.
What did I say? Zay Jones?
Zay Jones.
Yeah, Zay Jones ain't going to be thrown to in the first part of the season anyway.
Shockingly. Yeah.
Yes. So Zay Flowers, yes. Number 2 for you, Sterling?
Kingsley Suamataia. I know that was your number 3, but kind of the same way. Obviously, it's a precursor for what this season's gonna be like, but this is a welcome to the NFL moment. You're playing the Ravens, Nnamdi Madubuike. It's not Justin Madubuike anymore. He changed his name
right, Nnamdi
to Nnamdi.
Madubuike. Yeah.
So you're going up against him. Obviously, you won't have to luckily go up against Michael. Michael Pierce in the middle. But and also in the Ravens, they're going to send some pressure. Whether that's Owe off the outside, whether it's Kyle Van Noy who's going to get up the quarterback just a little bit as well.
It won't be Patrick Queen, though. I know that.
No, it will not be Patrick Queen, but still, I want to see how he handles a team like the Ravens. This is a welcome to the NFL moment, a great defense, a lot of talent, little unique. This is a chance. Yeah, he'll get some help, but I wouldn't mind a time or two seeing him. What does he do against Madubuike? What does he do against Owe one-on-one?
Oddly enough, the depth chart for the Ravens has it listed as Justin Madubuike, even though he's officially changed his name to Nnamdi.
He changed it yesterday, in fairness. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
I think it was 2 days ago. I think it was on – well, no, it might have been yesterday.
I think it was yesterday, Wednesday, or Tuesday.
I think it was Monday when he had the press conference talking about it. So then Tuesday was all of the stories that were written about him. But regardless, even though the depth chart still says Justin.
It's pretty funny.
You would think PR staff would have an idea that he was wanting to change his name to
Mama
Nnamdi.
calls him Justin.
Yes, Mama call him Clay.
Yeah, I'll call him Justin. That's what the Ravens said.
Mama call him Clay. I'm calling Clay.
Call him Clay.
All right, you're number 2, Dylan.
My number 2, same as Sterling, Kingsley.
Kingsley.
Same reasons. Also, if you can find a franchise left tackle at that
dude.
price, I mean,
Massive.
it's a position we've kind of treated like a who's available after training camp. You're our left tackle now, so it'll be a massive upgrade if he can, like Sterling said, go up against a massive challenge on the first night against a revenge-minded team.
It'd be nice to have somebody there at left tackle that you feel like is going to be there at left tackle for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Because since Eric Fisher, it was Orlando Brown. Okay, do you move on from Orlando Brown after 1 year because he wasn't all that good? Okay, Orlando Brown the second year. All right, now you're moving on from Orlando Brown. Now it's Donovan Smith. Okay, is Donovan Smith just a placeholder, or is he a guy that a 1 year deal, then you're going to sign him to a longer-term deal because you liked what – Wanya Morris, maybe you got something in him. Okay, now you got Kingsley. Is he a guy – it'd be nice to have somebody there that you go, who's the starting left tackle in 2025? Kingsley.
Yeah.
I would even argue that the Super Bowl against the Bucs was so bad that you could throw Mike Remmers in that pile just because of the bad taste in our mouth.
That whole offensive line was a pile in that one. So, all right, my number 1 is this is a little bit of excitement. It's a little bit of X factor, and it's a little bit of a difference maker this year, what it could mean for the overall offensive team. It's Xavier Worthy.
Ooh,
like excited to watch him play,
yeah.
but I think he's a bigger key to the offense than nationally people are giving him credit for. You know, it's funny, I wrote down the stat to talk to Cynthia about with Xavier Worthy and the impact he can have, and then she brought up the stat, you know, which was crazy in that from 2018 to 2021, that's with Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill out there, Patrick Mahomes had 44 deep touchdowns, 44 different touchdown passes that were deep touchdowns. Deep passes.
Is that 20-plus yards, or is that the
20-plus yards? 44 of them. In the last 2 years combined, he's had 2. It's just drastic.
one was Rashee Rice? I remember that one.
It's just absolutely drastic in the drop-off there.
Yeah.
From having somebody that can stretch the field. And they didn't all have to go to Tyreek Hill. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't all have to do that. But you just open the field a little bit. I've compared it to the Warriors a lot.
Yeah.
That you have a team that the Lakers a couple of years ago when they didn't have any shooters, and it was like they look like that everything's just congested. Like, the defense is like playing inside the arc. You're not stretching the floor at all. It's like this is just a poorly put together offense, where the Warriors, it feel like the whole court is wide open. Like, why are there driving lanes that feels like there's nobody there with when the Warriors are out there, because it's just so wide open, pace and space, you know? And the Chiefs have been the Warriors for a number of years, where every blade of grass from the line of scrimmage to the end zone and 10 yards past that needed to be guarded because they might, hit you there. That wasn't last year.
The avalanche, too, that the Warriors seem to have, where they'd be down by, 10 in the third, and you're like, where can I find a plus
and they just
money
crush
line
you.
on the Warriors?
The Lakers needed Vladimir Radmanovic back. That's all. If they
100%.
would have had Vladimir Radmanovic to stretch 3-4, they would have been fine.
More Vladdies in our life is what you need. But that stat of only having 2, I think that's where Xavier Worthy comes in. That what he might be able to do for other guys on the offense when he's out there for 60, 70% of the plays. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully he's out there that much, and he can offer that much of an impact to open it up for Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce. So Xavier Worthy for me is number 1, because I think he can do a lot to unlock the offense.
My number 1 is kind of what your number 2 was, a little different, but still Williams, Watson. I think it's those guys. I think this might be more of a Watson game because there's not as many bigger-bodied guys. I know Watson's also pretty tall and still a fairly decently sized cornerback. Williams is a little sturdy, a little thicker, if you will. I think he's more of a go up against the bigger-bodied wide receivers. Baltimore doesn't really have that on their roster.
Bateman to a degree.
To a degree, but this is the Chiefs win or lose. I really think this game on the cornerback play. If they have a busted coverage, Lamar is able to hit, let's just say, Rashad Bateman for a 40-yard touchdown. That's going to be a killer. I like what Williams and Watson's do. I think I'm higher than most people on these guys specifically because I've seen them play in high leverage games and I've seen them come up and produce. But when I hear the coaching staff talk about that, when I see what we've seen in the preseason and training camp, I am a little worried. I don't know if it's regression. I don't know if it's just now we're the guys. we were CB3s and we were fine as CB3s. Now we got to be CB2s, and that's a lot of pressure on us. It's like in baseball. All of a sudden, now I'm the 3-hitter. Now I'm the 4-hitter. I was batting 6. I'm putting pressure on my shoulders.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case or what, but Williams and Watson, we have to see him come out and play good. I'll always appreciate Watson for what he did last year, playing to the labrum, all that stuff. But it's a new season. It's a new year. One of these two guys has to step up. That's my number one.
Number one for you, Dylan?
Same as yours, Xavier Worthy. Kind of similar thing to the Kingsley stuff. It's like if you can get a wide receiver 1 on that price, and we've kind of missed on some recently. So you turn a position that you've kind of let, be I don't want to say neglected, but you don't really put as much weight in that because of Mahomes. And then if you add an actual number 1 potential receiver with the motivation of a second contract on a rookie deal, I feel like that's a massive addition.
Yeah. And as far as the cornerback play goes with, the body type of a Rashad Bateman versus Zay Flowers is a guy that if the Chiefs want to, McDuffie could travel with.
Yeah.
Like he could follow wherever Zay Flowers, because Snead traveled with the best receiver, whether that was a tall guy, short guy, thicker guy, whatever it might be. I know that Dave Merritt's talked about guys that are 5'10". It's not ideal if you got a guy, but McDuffie could travel with Zay Flowers.
Well, he's 5'11".
That's a good point. I think, and I think Dave Merritt said 5'10" specifically for a reason. He didn't say 5'11".
I think so too.
But McDuffie can travel with Zay Flowers tomorrow night. And okay, now what does that do for your second cornerback having to worry about Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar only, and not like, okay, well now McDuffie's on Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah.
And okay, well now Jalen Watson's on Zay Flowers. Okay, what happens in this particular grouping? If McDuffie's a guy that you can just say, Zay Flowers, go do it, and we'll worry about everything else. This is at least one of those games where you can have that somewhat of a Snead impact of leave this guy on that wide receiver, call it a day, and make this guy attack the other wide receivers, and you just took away his favorite target outside of tight end.
It doesn't get any easier week 2.
No.
So you better figure it out week 1.
Exactly. Maybe he travels with Jamar Chase. Maybe they just play it different ways. I don't know. And maybe Jamar Chase ain't out there. We'll find out. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, wrap up this hour. Mick Schaefer comes up in the 1 o'clock hour. Some Chiefs ZOUs at 1 o'clock. More Zone next. All right, wrapping up this hour, we'll talk with Mick Schaefer in the 1 o'clock hour, KSHB 41 Sports Director. They've got the game on their airwaves tomorrow night, Chiefs and Ravens. We've got the pregame right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Post-game as well with Jack Johnson. Tonight at 6 o'clock, a little Arrowhead Pride with Pete Sweeney and Jack Johnson. Getting that show underway, the maiden voyage here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. But we'll talk with Mick Schaefer in the next hour. Get his thoughts on some of the players he may be watching, paying attention to, studying for tomorrow night that may be the most impactful outside of, number 15. Or maybe number 1 is number 15. I think you know what? I think we missed the boat. I think the number 1 player we should be watching and paying attention to and what it means for the Chiefs is number 15. I think that will go a long way to deciding if the Chiefs win or lose. But we got the Zone Over-Unders Chiefs edition coming up next.
No pants Wednesday.
Have you ever seen him wearing pants?
Well, probably, yeah.
That go
Yeah, from
that
time
go
to time.
beneath
During the
his
winter.
knees.
During the wintertime, yeah, he wears pants. and
you haven't
typically-
seen me in cold months yet.
I've not seen him in cold months. Yeah,
It gets cold around here, so typically he'll wear the long pants.
but he
when
seems like
it's
a
cold.
guy who would
Just for the
like a
weather.
parka with shorts. Like I could totally see that. He wants to let the legs
So?
breathe.
Like my kids who wear a hoodie and short shorts to school every day.
Yeah, I don't know about the
whether
short
it's
shorts,
20
but
degrees or 90 degrees.
Yeah.
we're gonna be warm up top.
but
cool on the
I like the hoodie
fairness-
and shorts. I just don't like the hoodie and short shorts. You know,
No, you gotta wear short shorts.
you don't have to wear. I don't
Yeah,
have
you
to do
gotta
anything.
let the thighs out.
Yeah, don't
Skies
do that.
out, thighs out.
Don't do
but,
that.
What are those 3 inchers?
5.
Talking about the
yeah,
shorts.
yeah, right.
Talking about the shorts.
5. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. You
It
don't
gets
have to
cold
do
in school, so I remember that. You gotta have the sweat
Sure.
because it gets a little chilly.
that. Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
no need for the no need.
But
for
they'll
the
do it
short
in
shorts,
20
but-
degree weather too.
Yeah, so
tough.
you know, but you do have your top protected, so that's good. You know,
I do,
It's,
yeah.
it's very smart when you do that. But yeah, I'm glad to see that you wore pants on Monday and you're wearing clothes today, so that's good. And we'll see if we're going to be wearing pants on Thursday night, if we're all just going to be enjoying ourselves, or maybe I have no idea.
You won't have pants on enjoying yourself? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe not. I mean, it might be an act of aggression. So
You're getting aggressive with
it
it
might
too.
be
Getting worse
It might be
here.
when you
Yeah.
can't. Sometimes when you can't use your emotion words, he gets to streaking.
I didn't take the tarps off. I didn't know you're going pop the pants off too, huh?
Was it emotion words or was it feeling? I can't remember what it was. When he can't use his emotion words, he gets to streaking. All right, so you guys have the ZOUs. I gave those to you ahead
You
of
did.
time,
Thank you.
roughly 25 minutes ago. So you
I
guys-
opened it 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, but you know what? Impulse buy close to the register. You like those?
That's all I need.
You gotta go with what you feel on those. All right, so let's get started here with the zone over unders. We have a lot of them, a lot more than we typically do with the Royals. So we start off with Patrick Mahomes. These lines are set by Vegas. Okay, these are the lines. Most of these I got, well, not most of them, but Mahomes, Pacheco, and Kelsey I got from Vegas.
Okay.
So these are lines
Loss,
that you can go.
Vegas, comma, loss.
Yes, Vegas, comma loss. These are lines you can go and bet on right now. Mahomes passing yards 4,350.5. 4,350.5. I am going over on Mahomes. I think he'll get to 4,400 yards. I think this is going to be a big season for
Are we going
Patrick
in order
Mahomes.
here? Or are we just yelling?
It'll
Because
be
that's the easiest. That's the layup.
me, Sterling,
Okay, then no.
Mick, Dillon, and then Sterling. It'll be like learn from
Gotcha,
your
sure,
specimen.
yeah,
Sterling,
yeah.
Mick, Dillon, then Mick, Dillon, me.
Oh, I
Sterling.
can't wait for the third one.
Yeah,
I'm first.
Yeah, you're first. You're leading off there. It'll be a big like instinctual just yelling it out, blurting it. Sterling over under 4,350 yards. 0.5.
Yeah, over. I've already put money on this.
Oh, great. Yeah, me too. Mick
Over all
over.
day.
Okay, Dylan.
Over.
All right, great.
I mean, he would have got it last year in like his worst season had he played the last game.
I thought it was low as well, but I'm like, well, I'm going with. I mean, we can change it if we want,
Vegas,
but I'm going with Vegas.
I'm gonna go bet on that right now.
Yeah, touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes, 34.5. Sterling, we start with you.
Does that include rushing or
Nope,
just
passing,
just
passing
passing?
touchdowns.
Just regular
34.
season.
What are you, a newbie?
No, just confirming.
Passing
just
touchdowns.
confirmation. I will still go over. Only twice in his career has he not.
Okay. And I think Cynthia Freeland's projections have Mahomes leading the league in touchdown passes at 34. So Mick over under 34.5.
Does that include pick sixes by his own team?
It
No,
does
Mine was a
just-
legit
okay.
smart
It does
question.
actually.
Yours
Was it a
was-
legit smart question?
It does actually conclude.
Just
pick
wanted to
sixes.
confirm.
No, I'm going to go over.
Over,
On
okay.
the passing touchdowns.
Okay.
He didn't say passing
Dylan?
touchdowns. It just says touchdowns.
Over on the passing touchdowns as well.
Thank you. By the way, last year we all went over on yards and touchdowns, and
We missed.
and we all missed. We were all 0 for 2 on those. All right, Mick, we start with you. Interceptions.
You didn't say over or under.
Oh, sorry, I'm going over. Yeah, of course
Okay.
I'm going over. I mean, come on. Because I've already bet on that too. I've already put money on that one. Interceptions, 12.5. Last year he had 14. Mick over under passing interceptions, not rushing interceptions. Passing interceptions We're going to set this at 12.5.
What if the ball hits the ground?
Mine was an intelligent question because it didn't change things for me personally, but it could have.
Over under 12.5 interceptions for you, Mick.
I think I've burned the last 3 years going under on the picks for him, so I'll go over this time, 12.5 interceptions. But that's fine. He'll throw for 53 touchdowns. So
because 2 years ago it was set at 10.5 and he got 12. Last year was set at 12.5 and he got 14. So now it's set at 12.5 again. Dylan, over under 12.5.
I'm going to go over because they're going to be pushing the ball down the field, taking more chances with the new weapons. So I'll go over.
I am going under on Patrick Mahomes' interceptions.
Homer.
Under.
I think he gets 12, so I'm going under. In his career, he's had 12, 13, 12, 14, as well as a 5 and a 6.
Yeah.
History shows us that 12.5 is a good number, but take the under. It's close around it.
You don't get bonus points if you hit it on the nose of how many.
I'm just saying, I think he gets 12.
I don't want you to think that you were going to get a bonus point by saying he was going to have 12 exactly. We move on to Isaiah Pacheco. And this one we lead off with Dylan. Isaiah Pacheco, it's yards from scrimmage. So not just rushing yards, but rushing and receiving yards. It's set at 1,100.5. Last year he had 1,179, so 1,179. So set at 1,100.5. Dylan, we start with you. Over, under, Pacheco yards from scrimmage this year.
Oh, man, I'm gonna go with my heart here. I'm gonna go over, even though I don't think it will happen, but I do think that.
I don't think it will happen, but I'm going to go with what I don't think.
I'm gonna go with my heart here instead of my head. I think he'll get over that with combined.
I am going over as well. Shocker. Sterling, over, under, Pacheco yards from scrimmage.
It comes down to health for me.
Yeah, typically.
I'll say over, but it's all health related.
Yeah. So you're saying 17 games, he'll get that. If he misses a game or two, probably just short.
I think if he plays 15 games, he'll get it. But he played in 14 last year, and what did he have last?
1179.
So he still had it in 4. Yeah. So
yeah,
I'll go over.
But again, it is a health thing. Mick.
A health and a backup thing. I don't think that who's the guy they can rely on right now that they know that can come in on third down or leave him for a
Samaje Perine.
We know that for sure.
On third down,
we know. We've seen him in a Chiefs uniform. I haven't.
But
no,
third
absolutely.
down.
I've seen a guy in a Perine uniform. It was LaMichael, his cousin. The Broncos cut him. Okay, the Broncos cut him. I don't think we're set on a backup, so I'm going over.
That was my strategy as well as to why to go over. Last year you had Edwards-Helaire and McKinnon, so it was like Pacheco, year number 2. Yeah. This year it's rookie Carson Steele, no Edwards-Helaire, and Samaje Perine learning the playbook. Starting 3 days ago.
And maybe he's fallen off a cliff too.
Yeah. So that's why I went over.
I don't think he'd be on
an
NFL team if he fell off a cliff.
Well, it was a small cliff. It was like a one story.
Oh, okay.
It was really athletic.
It was more like a hill.
He did like a superhero landing.
Yeah,
so
it was
okay.
It's really just down 4 stairs, but it's a cliff.
I mean,
to a small child, it's a cliff.
Those superhero landings, they strain on the knees. They really are.
An ant fell off it. It was a cliff to an ant, but to him it was just a couple stairs. But he's still there. Total touchdowns for Isaiah Pacheco. This is rushing and receiving. So total touchdowns for Pacheco, we put it at 8.5. I lead off this one. I'm going under 8.5 for Pacheco total touchdowns. Sterling?
Yeah, I'm going under. He had 9 last year total, 7 rushing, 2 receiving in 14 games, but I still think the under.
Yeah, he had 9 last year. 8.5 over under Mick.
Let's get some separation here, boys. I'm going over.
Over. There we go.
Over.
There we go. Dylan, you always follow whatever Mick says.
Man,
Yeah.
we're kindred spirits.
Right.
Each other's spirit animals.
Yeah.
I'll go under.
Oh,
okay.
God, not
Wow.
anymore.
I gotta separate myself from Mick because it always ends up where we're in either dead last, fighting for it, or in the clear. So
I think that ended up being like the Royals. I think you two are going to be tied. You guys were like exactly the same on the Royals stuff, except for like 2 that were different, and you guys split those. All right, Travis Kelce receiving yards, 1,000.5. 1,000.5 for Travis Kelce. He had 984 last year. Yes, he missed 2 games. But 984 for Travis Kelce last year, 1,000.5. Sterling, we start with you.
Yeah, this is also one I've already bet on ESPN Bet. I'm ripping the over on this one.
I moved it up to 1,000 because I think
it was like at 850 or something like that.
Seriously?
I saw it at like 930 or something like that.
ESPN Bet had it at 850. I'm like, or 865. I'm like, that's the easiest over.
Take a quick break. We'll come back and
as we all throw down our life savings on this.
There. So I moved it up to 1,000 because I figured it'd be too. We'd all immediately take the over if it was that. We all may take the over as well. Mick,
I'm still immediately taking the over. over. It was an anomaly. He had to sit out a game right at the end for him not to get that number
He
last
missed
year.
2 games last year.
Yeah, and then the one he could have played then at the end, he couldn't. Yeah, didn't. Could have done it, and so it's over.
I'm gonna separate myself again.
Whoa.
I know. I'm going with the way the Vegas is trending because they are well under this number.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna
they
go
are.
under.
They are well.
So.
There's value here to go under.
Hater.
According to
Hater.
Vegas. All right, touchdown receptions.
What'd you do? I don't like when you
Sorry,
don't
my
say
bad.
yours.
Over.
You just,
I'm over. Of course, I'm over. Come on, I've already bet on it. No, I haven't bet on this one. But the Pacheco, or no, the Mahomes yards and touchdowns I've already bet on. But I need to go bet on the Kelsey one because I didn't realize it was that low at certain spots. All right, touchdown receptions for Kelsey. We start with you, Mick. We'll do total touchdowns. Maybe he gets a rushing one. I don't know.
Okay.
So 8.5 is what we're setting it at. He only had 5 last year, and that was a real fall off as the season went along for touchdowns because he was pacing for like 14 at one point. Over under 8.5 for you, Mick.
It's a tough one. I didn't know any of these were going to be
great number
tough.
too.
I'll go under. There's more weapons. More drives might end in long ball touchdowns to Hollywood or Worthy. I'll go under.
All right. And you've got over on the Pacheco touchdowns anyway, so maybe that's where
That's
you're
it. That's
evening
he's
out.
going to take his touchdowns.
And that's what you were thinking, right?
Impulsively, that's what I was thinking.
Dylan, over under 8.5 touchdowns for Travis Kelsey.
I'll also go under here as well.
All right. I am going over. This is a real surprise to you guys. I know I'm going over. I think last year was also the anomaly in touchdowns for him, so I think he'll get to 9. While there are more guys to throw to, of course, I think it'll still be a touchdown year for Travis Kelsey, so I'm going over. Sterling?
Yeah, this one's hard. 8.5 is a great number. He's had 8, 10, 5, 11, 9, 12, 5. Yeah, so, like, 8.5's right in line. It's I'll go under. I think it's probably 8, but I think that 8.5 is a great number.
I think I came up with the 8.5.
If you did, that's a great number.
I'm not.
I guess if you did come up, I think it's a bad number. If it was Vegas, great.
No, because I think Vegas had it much lower. Let me check, because there were 1 or 2 that I had to switch myself because I'm like, no, we're all going to be the same there. I want to at least make it to where we might be different on a couple of things. Receiving touchdowns. That guy is not Travis. You're not Travis Kelsey either. None of you are Travis Kelsey.
Since
Going down to
2017,
Kelsey.
since he really kind of took off in 2017.
Yeah, they put 6.5 for Kelsey.
Yeah, it'd be an easy over.
Would we have all gone over if it was 6.5?
I think it would.
I think so too.
So I'll
so-
go under to kind of separate from you because you and I have
Great.
gone back and forth a lot too.
Yeah, I think we have done the exact same except for that one right there.
Yeah.
All right, leading wide receiver, receiving yards, total 950.5. Not Kelsey. So the leading wide receiver for the team will have more or less than 950.5. Last year was Rice with 938. He also missed week 17. He sat out. We start with Dylan, right? This is a Dylan leadoff. Dylan, over under the leading wide receiver having 950.5 yards.
Oh, over.
Over?
Yeah.
Okay. I am, for some reason, going all the overs with Mahomes, but I'm going under on this one. I wrote it down. I probably had some sort of thought process to it.
Too many options, maybe?
That's probably what it was, is that he's got a lot of people to throw to, so Kelsey's going to be the main guy, but then splitting between Xavier, Hollywood, Rasheed, Watson,
Wiley.
McCole, Wiley,
Andrew Wiley, wow.
Montrell Washington, guys like that.
Phillip Brooks coming back. Yeah,
Exactly. Guys like that. Going out and reacquiring Amir Smith-Marset. Like, there's a lot of guys that are on this team. Sterling, over under 950.5 for the leading wide receiver specifically.
Yeah, this is one of my kind of hotter takes was I thought that no receiver, again, Travis I think goes over 1,000, but no receiver was going to go over 1,000. But since you said under, I'm going to go over. I want to separate a little bit here.
Oh, wow.
That
Why don't you just play the game?
Well, no, that gives me 50 yards of so it could still be 980, and I would still have my prediction hit.
That's true. It could be 951. You would still have your prediction.
I'd still have
hit.
it.
Yeah.
So I'll
really anything over 950, your prediction would hit.
So I'll say yeah.
Okay. Mick, over under 950.
What about 990? Would it hit?
Carry the one, divide right in the meter.
I think.
Yep, square root.
I think, here's my hot take. The offense runs through Rasheed Rice now. That's my hot take. I feel
it.
1,100
It's not too
yards.
Love
1,100
it.
yards. That's who he looks for.
Love it.
Yeah, it's
warm
careful,
over there.
Careful
It's
over here.
warm.
Okay?
Warm. It's not hot. It's warm.
It's a warm take.
It's warm.
And he blows up this season, and He is the leading receiver, and it's well over 950.
Feels like a hot tub.
Does he have more than Kelsey?
Yes.
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
All right. Now we know.
What do you do? You said
I already went.
Under.
You went opposite me
Yeah,
because
okay.
I went under because we started with Dylan there, right? So then we'll start with me here. We already know Mick's answer on this, but who leads the Chiefs wide receivers in yards? We just pick a specific player. We may all wide receiver.
Wide receiver, yeah.
Who leads the wide receivers in yards receiving this year for the Chiefs? I was really brilliant last year, and I went with Sky Moore.
Smart.
And Josh went with Sky Moore, and Dylan went with Sky Moore, and Mick was dumb and went with Rasheed Rice. As a rookie, you're an idiot. A rookie's not going to lead the Chiefs wide receivers in receiving
I'm
yards.
still embarrassed by that.
That was one of the dumbest things you've said in a long time.
At that moment, I was so embarrassed. I've carried over that feeling, despite Rasheed Rice leading them.
Despite being
I've
right,
still held on to that embarrassment feeling.
I get it because at the time people judged you for how dumb you were.
Yes.
They didn't remember later on.
And
you
I've
were
held
right.
on to that.
Yeah, no, they didn't remember you were right later on.
They don't
That doesn't
remember
matter.
the retraction of the story. They just remember the original story that was wrong.
So I went Rasheed Rice. Sterling.
I'll go Rice. Part of that's also because I don't know how many games Hollywood's going to miss,
that's a big one.
And Hollywood's missed a lot just in general over the past couple seasons.
That was my reason for Rice. Mick, Xavier.
Rice, because that's all Mahomes looks at anymore is number 4.
Yeah. Dylan.
Rice. I mean, I don't want to stray away from the pack here, and I was dead wrong last year. So
Yeah.
Hey, Sky's still on the table,
Kind of
fellas.
feel like it might be Sky Moore,
Oh,
guys.
I forgot, Mick. Actually, can I change mine still?
No, too late. You already took your hand off the checker.
What was going on? What was going on that I was the black sheep and you guys all picked Sky Moore last
Because
year?
at that point, they were talking about Sky and Rasheed Rice Kadarius Toney being number 1 receiver. Sky in year 2 was going to take the step forward. MVS was going to still be his deep threat guy, but Sky was going to be like the security blanket with Kelsey underneath. And Rice, I mean, it's rookie wide receivers don't really acclimate to Andy.
So where did he finish on the receiver
Sky
list?
Moore?
Yes.
I think
Below Samaj
28th.
P. Ryan.
I think all of us combined, the 4 of us and Sky Moore combined for like 200 yards receiving.
In reality, he finished with less receiving yards than running back Samaj P. Ryan in the Denver Russell Wilson offense last year.
Which is amazing. All right, this is a fun one. This is a new one that we've implemented this year. Receiving yards combo. We'll start with Mick on this one. Kelsey and Xavier Worthy combination receiving yards, or Hollywood Brown and Rasheed Rice receiving yards. What
So pick
combination?
one or the other here.
What combination has more receiving yards this year? Brown Rice or Travis Worthy?
And missing the games. It's basically for me. I think Rice and Kelsey are going to come close to cancel each other out.
That's why I split them up. That's why I split them up.
Who's going to have more, Hollywood or Xavier? I'm still going to go with Hollywood.
Hollywood. So
I'm gonna
Brown
go-
Rice.
so Brown Rice.
You're going Brown Rice. Okay. Dylan, you want Brown Rice or you want Kelsey X?
Worthy.
Kelsey Worthy. You want
Brown
X?
Rice. I'll take Brown Rice.
Brown Rice. Okay. I am also going Brown Rice.
Yeah, I am too.
Brown Rice? Okay.
I'm bummed that we're all doing that.
That sucks. Yeah, that was a new one too. I was
like
very excited
Xavier,
about it.
but I think I'm taking the under on his yards this year.
It just Xavier Worthy's healthy. So if Kelsey and Rice cancel each other out and Xavier Worthy's healthy the entire year in Hollywood, then we're all going to be wrong. We should have gone with the different Rice, not the Brown Rice. All right, this is a new one we implemented this year as well. Xavier Worthy, a 50-yard or more touchdown reception, 0.5. So to give you, I did the research on this, so I'll pass it along. In 2020, Tyreek Hill had 2. In 2021, Tyreek Hill had 1. So there was 3 in those 2 years, but he did have 1 in each of his last 2 years with Patrick Mahomes as a wide receiver. He had at least 1. But Xavier Worthy's a rookie. That was year 3 and 4 with Tyreek Hill. So we start with Dylan. Over under 0.5, 50-yard or more receiving touchdowns for Xavier Worthy.
Over.
Over.
They were trying to make it happen in the preseason.
I'm going over as well. Sterling?
Rasheed Rice did have a 67-yarder last year as well. I'll be different and go under, but I think it's a good question here.
Mick?
Over.
Over.
I
Okay.
could see just like just a basic little seam route or post pattern to where like he has the angle for the pylon and nobody's going to catch him despite the defensive back and if he has an angle on him.
I think there were a few times last year where, and not saying the defense is going to be aligned the same way, but MVS had a step or two, and he and Mahomes just didn't connect. And it was like, man, if he catches that, it's a touchdown. I think there's probably going to be at least one of those.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking like deep ball over the top.
Yeah, I
I'm
see
thinking
what
like
you're saying,
catch and run more than anything.
I will say one of the caveats, again, great, but the touchdown parts, like does
Yeah.
he have a 50-yarder? Because
Yeah,
Rasheed had a
sure.
67-yarder and got caught,
Yeah.
right?
But Hollywood ain't getting caught. Or excuse me, Xavier.
Xavier might be getting
Hollywood's
caught.
not getting caught either,
Yeah.
but Xavier's not getting caught.
So
The only guy who can catch Hollywood is Xavier, and hopefully he doesn't forget he's on that team.
Yeah, it was like
right
when
now.
when Tyreek caught Damian Williams, and Damian Williams was pissed at him.
Yes, yeah.
It's like, what do you do?
can't wait for Xavier to go down the 1-yard line.
Dude,
It's going to be great for me.
I want to see somebody break free and Hollywood sprint to catch up to him and run next to him like Tyreek did. I want to or Xavier. Did I say Hollywood? Xavier? Whatever. Xavier Brown. Hollywood worthy. All right, we move on to the defense. Chris Jones, sacks, 10.75. 10.75. Last year he had 10.5. 10.75 for Chris Jones. I think. Mick, did you start the over-under with the 0.5?
I think I was last there. So,
Okay, so Dylan, it doesn't matter. We'll just start over.
I think
then.
Dylan started there first.
Cool. Then I'll go
Yeah,
over
yeah.
Chris Jones' sacks of 10.5. Sterling.
He's only gone over that number twice
I
in
know.
his career. Does feel like he's kind of hitting his stride. Again, 10.5
prime.
10.5 sacks last year. I'll go over. I think there's a little something to prove just after missing week 1 last year and everything.
And he did play the rest of the games because he played in week 17 or
Yeah.
18
And he got
to
this-
get that sack,
yeah.
to get to 10.5. Mick, over, under 10.75.
I hate these when you actually get the number right. I like the other. I don't like them when you get it wrong.
A lot of people do. It's weird. I love it when you're wrong.
I will go under 10.5.
Okay. Well, no,
Sorry,
it could be
Chris.
10.5.
What's that?
Under 10.75, so we could still get 10.5.
Oh, sorry, yeah, 10.75.
Because the first time we did the
we'll
Chiefs,
definitely go under
the
now.
first time we did the Chiefs ZOUs, we did sacks at like Chris Jones 11.5, and he had
Nailed
like
it.
11.5. Like, oh yeah, we need to do 7.5 or 0.25, whatever. Dylan 10.75 sacks.
Yeah, I'll go under as well.
Under?
Yeah.
Okay. We are split on that one. Sterling, you start us with the next one. George Karlaftis. Same number, 10.75.
Yeah, as a huge Karlaftis fan and just watching his growth, I don't know what his max is ever going to be, but I think he gets 11 this year, so I'll take the over.
You're very specific on these numbers. Like I think Patrick has 12 interceptions.
Yeah.
I think he's got 11 sacks.
Yeah, I think it's 11. I don't think Karlaftis is going to make a 16-sack kind of guy, but I think that 11, 12-ish is right in range
Apparently
for
you're
him.
not a
so.
Karlaftis believer then.
Huge.
Okay, so
Well, I'm a bigger Karlaftis fan, okay, because I think it's going to be 15, 16. No, I'll go over as well.
Over.
Trending in that direction.
Dylan?
Yeah, over. He's going to break Strahan's record this year. Actually.
There we go. Biggest Karlaftis fan in the room.
Yep.
This is an interesting one because I'm on an island. I went under with Karlaftis.
I was
sacks
going
this
to
year.
one way or the other for either, not both over, both under for those two.
Yeah. All right. Team defense. Team defense. Sacks. Last year they had 57, but we're setting this at 50.75. Mick, we start with you. Team defense sacks.
This is like the Bobby question we had this year, the sucker bet. Like
extra
last
base
year,
hits.
absolutely, and you're going
Yes.
under, yeah.
You dummy.
57's a big number, though, right?
57 was a big number
It's,
last year.
I'll bet on a regression. I'll go under.
Dylan?
Yeah, I'll bet on a regression as well.
I went under as well, betting on
Ooh,
going
let's
with the regression.
go.
Sterling?
I'm ripping the over.
Good
They
for
had
you.
57 last year, 55 the year prior.
Yep.
If I have the over on Chris and the over on George, I feel like I have
just-
to go over on team.
I just don't know who else is with the Minahu being out maybe till late November.
But he was that last year too.
And a lesser secondary as well.
Yeah, I know. I just Snead and those guys blitzing. McDuffie's going to be good. Connor's
Steve
gonna be good.
Spagnuolo
Yeah.
is a
I
genius.
went back and forth on this, and I'm like, well, I'm going to go against conventional wisdom and go under. But then 3 of the 4 of us went under. All right, team turnovers,
There's no, I mean,
defensive turnovers,
there's conventional something over here. I don't know
Yeah,
if
that's
it's
right.
wisdom.
defensive turnovers. Last year was an anomaly, an aberration, sort of a outlier. They had 17. They caused 17 turnovers. We are still setting this one for some reason at 31.5. Dylan,
We are? I thought it was 26.5.
Did I set it at 26.5? Thank
Well,
God.
the text you sent
Thank
me
God.
was 26.5.
Thank
Wait, why did
God.
it say 31.5?
Did the text say 26.5?
Mine did, yeah.
Yes. Okay, that's what I thought. I don't know where I got 31.5 from, but thank God because I thought I changed that.
And what they have last year?
They had 17.
Where did that was like bottom 10 in the league, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean they were like minus 11.
That's actually a
in the
good
turnover
sign
differential.
for our defense because usually
Yes.
when you have
Yeah.
like a top defense, the
Right.
turnovers are there and then they regress.
That's one of the reasons why people have looked at the Chiefs and said, I think they're going to be better. They were minus 11 in turnover differential
That's
last year,
wild.
and they won the Super Bowl. Dylan, we start with you. Over under turnovers forced for the defense at 26.5.
I'm still gonna go under, but barely.
Okay. I am going on the positive side here. I put over down. So I'm going to go over. Sterling, over under 26.5 turnovers forced.
Under.
Under 26.5.
Under.
Ooh, I'm on an island there too. Okay. All right.
Only 9, if I've been looking at this correctly,
They had
9
that.
teams had turnovers more than that number.
Cool. And they'll
So.
be one of the 9 this year. So
Maybe I'm
roughly
mistaken.
a little less than a third. Sounds good. All right. Wins. We set the over under at 16.5. Wins. I'm taking the over. I'm feeling good about it. 12.5. We went alternate line. Vegas has them at 11.5, but we went alternate line 12.5. I'm leading off this one. I actually went alternate line of 13.5 in the actual book.
Wow.
And took the over on that one. So I'm taking the
Whoa.
over on 12.5. Sterling,
Yeah, I think they go 13-4, so over.
I've got him 14-3. But anyway,
If I got them
Nick?
12-5, what should I take?
That's under.
I'll do the under.
Okay.
Yep, same here. 12 wins.
You can't stray from me, Dylan.
Can't
You
do
know,
it,
no
man.
matter how hard you try,
You guys are-
buddy.
you guys are
how
cute.
hard you try.
All right. We threw a bonus one. I know I didn't text you guys this, but
oh,
we
man.
threw a bonus one in there.
Curveball.
Curveball. Bonus one. We'll know this answer tomorrow. Chiefsaholic. 15.5 years over under.
Over.
Sterling?
What's it?
Well, okay, so
The
his
sentencing or what he eventually, well, it'll just
Yeah,
be
so-
sentencing
so
because we're not
his-
going to wait 15 years to
his-
see what, if he gets out on time.
his lawyers have asked the judge for 10. The prosecutors have asked for 20. 15.5.
That's hilarious.
Splitting the middle would be Patrick Mahomes on 15 on the day that the Chiefs start the season.
Yeah, I'll go under. I think it's 15.
You
Then
think they're gonna go 15?
I think I'll go 15.
It's a court in Kansas City that set the court date for September 5th for sentencing, and it's splitting down the middle for Patrick Mahomes. Are you kidding me? Chiefsaholics all over the world. Or I don't know if they're celebrating getting 15 years in prison, but you are going to go under 15.5?
Yeah.
Mick?
He robbed so many banks.
Yeah, I mean,
He robbed so many banks. How's it this low?
there's no way.
Come on, I want to believe in our justice system.
Dang, I don't want to be
for
excited
so many
if he
years in
gets-
so many states. Over. God.
Dylan?
Well, I
it's
hope
gotta
it's,
be
I
hope.
hope it's over,
Yeah,
but like
got it.
I don't want to be.
Dylan says over.
Over.
Yeah, the fact that he robbed all the banks and
How
then
did-
evaded police for
How
so
is it
long.
between 10 and 20? I
Yeah,
can't
it should be
believe
like
this.
30 and 50, but I'm just
exactly.
splitting the
just like,
hairs.
what the
Because
heck?
since he robbed the banks and then escaped
He
and
escaped
evaded
too.
and
Yeah, I
evaded
forgot
and
that part.
once he did all of that stuff, he's been cooperating.
Wait, did you guys all go over?
Yeah.
Boy
I'll
Scout.
go over too.
No!
yeah,
No,
I'll go-
too late.
No,
Too
can't
late.
do that.
Once we
there was
moved on to the
one I
next
wanted
one.
to change because of how you did. You can't do it though. That's the game.
part
I don't
of
want to.
leading-
I don't want to start off down 0-1.
That's why everybody gets to lead off different times.
Yeah, you
'cause
might be
don't
right.
know
Who
what
knows?
other
I mean, our justice system's all over.
Yeah,
the
but
place.
I don't want to be excited to be right on this one. This is one
Don't be
that
excited then. Just be like, you know what? I was playing the game.
You know what? I'm a point
My heart-
behind. I'm a point behind, but that's okay. I'm about to, or you'll be a point up,
You could be
and
a
you'll be
point
excited
up.
about. You're like, you know what? Hey, I'm a
it's a
point up on
bad
them.
bet. I wish I would have done more research. I just don't care.
We've done more research.
I just bet on I just hope it's more. That's
Well, I hope it's more,
ridiculous if
too.
he only gets like 10
You know
years
what?
for all that stuff.
What I'm doing basically is like when you bet against the team you root for, so that way it's a win-win either
Right,
way.
yeah, you're
You're
hedging.
moral.
Let's go.
You're having a moral hedge on Chiefsaholic
go.
sentencing years.
Yeah, like I want him to get longer, but like,
I've never seen somebody moral hedge on years in prison.
well,
Can I place that bet at Can I go to DraftKings
It's like
and place
it's like
Chiefsaholic
Mizzou playing
years?
Georgia for you. You're like, well, you know,
let's bet on Georgia.
I
But if
know
Mizzou
exactly.
wins,
Right, yes.
I'm excited, or I'm winning money.
Over at DraftKings, over 16.5 has been boosted to now plus 250. So it's a boost. All right. There we go.
There's no way that lawyer can go and do that football pun-filled
Oh, I forgot
press
about his
conference,
lawyer.
and then the judge gives him like a leniency or gives him like
But it would
a-
be right. The 15 would be right in the middle. It'd be right in the middle
No
of
way.
what they're both.
I
because the
think
They
they-
will not give him Mahomes' number because he's going to find that as a thing of pride. Like, I got Mahomes' number.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's got Mahomes' number?
Wait a minute. Actually, I didn't think about this. What if he actually gets specifically 15 and a half years?
Should do
Because it's always in
15.75.
months. It's always in months, though. So it's a
push.
15.53. Okay.
What is
so
that? What's the math on that? 15 times 12 plus 6.
What if he's paroled on good behavior? Does that matter?
180.
186.
That's true.
186.
Do we,
Damn it.
Do we adjust?
I was thinking to take out the calculator. I'm like, I don't need that. No.
I can't
186.
wait to come back to this in 15 years. And we're
So,
all still doing this.
over
And
We're waiting until it is
we're just waiting.
Over under 186 and a half months.
at a half. No one's going to do a
186
half.
and a half
right?
months.
Yes.
Yeah,
Writing
no half
letters
month.
of.
So
he's
I
a
need
good guy.
I need to put in parentheses there. Over 186.5 months.
Oh, well, now I take the
And we got
over.
to make sure that final month hits in like a July with 31 days or something like that. not like a November.
No, there's gonna be
November 30 or a
there will
leap year
be-
February.
There'll be
Or non-leap
specific
year.
months. There will be specific months that he has. 180 is going to be 15 years. We'll see. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll see what Mick thinks about the matchups tomorrow night.
You'll love him.
Get his prediction.
I can't wait.
And see about what channel the Chiefs game is going to be on
Jesus.
tomorrow. It's on 41, right?
Yes.
See?
Yes.
How about
Thank
that?
God.
That's cool. Good job. Way to go. Way to fight for it, Mick.
Thanks.
You got your way
That's,
finally.
finally.
Oh, do you have
Took
any
3 games?
mean emails?
I did, but they're gone. They're
No.
down. I get so many emails.
I
would
want 3
have to
mean
look.
emails. I want 3. Next
got-
break, find your 3 best.
I'll read the mean emails I get about you, Sterling.
Oh.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Mick, what do you guys got going on tomorrow?
We have football game.
Football.
It's on Channel 41.
Sundays in the snow.
It's the Sunday night. It's confusing there, too. It's the Sunday Night Football crew.
Referee
on
whistle
a
blow.
Thursday night.
Is it football
Weekend
or
Warriors
football?
toe-to-toe. Football.
Wildcats. What a great movie.
Awesome.
What a
Goldie
great
Hawn,
movie.
A really, really good movie. You know, ahead of its time, really. Ahead
It
of
really
its time.
was.
A female football coach, and she knew what the hell she was doing.
She did?
Yeah, and they won. Got that team, got them, right into shape.
Peanut, all those guys. Classic movie.
Football. So you guys got the pregame?
UGLY. You ain't got no alibi. We have pregame, so we'll our 4 o'clock show will serve as like a pregame to the pregame show. We'll have our own pregame show from 5 to 6, and then NBC takes over their pregame show from 6 to 7, and then they take over the broadcast at 7, and they kick off at 7:20.
Yes.
And then we have an hour-long postgame show.
There you go.
It's gonna
It's
be
all on
all-
YouTube TV.
This
Is
is
it
you can
available?
find it on YouTube TV. It's anywhere you can get NBC.
What if
We're
I
in
actually
the regular
want-
season.
I actually
It's on.
want it on
Is it on
30 at the
direct?
spot.
Is it
No
on
more-
DirecTV?
Yeah, it's
Okay, because
everywhere.
ESPN and ABC aren't.
What
right
if I
now
wanted it on
DirecTV.
30 at the spot?
You could send an email. I'm sure we'll get those emails.
What's your
Like,
email?
Why is it not? I got used to the games on 30 at the spot. Why is this one not on there?
That would be funny.
No more Olympics. No more political conventions. It's regular season, and it is that the Sunday Night Football is the most watched thing on television. Period. So that'll never get preempted. So.
God, I love that you. I want you to get a mean email about. I went to 38 and it wasn't there.
Wait,
It was ridiculous, guys.
Why do you guys keep waffling on
Pick
this?
one. Pick one. I mean, either it's going to be on.
Hey, Dylan, remind me to send him a message at 7:20. Where is it at on 30 at the
The
spot?
most harassment I get is from Dylan Michaels on Twitter. He keeps sending us stuff all the time.
For those that.
I'm giggling back
He's
there.
cackling
that
back
is-
there.
I think he puts Nick Jacobs on him too. Which,
That is true.
Even if Nick knows you're joking, he's not going to take it as a joke.
So
I've upset Nick Jacobs, which is it hurts my
Don't do
heart.
that.
I don't want to do that. I'll never do that again.
I only upset Nick on Sunday Sound Off when I say words that he has to go and mute and take out of the
What word
broadcast.
did you say?
Stuff you can say on the radio all
I think
the
I
time.
said ass.
Yeah.
One
You
time.
can't say ass?
I think
So
I
I
said,
can't say 2 scoops of ass on TV.
Do not say
no, it'd be
that.
the last time you're there on Sunday Sound
And
Off.
we
Really?
would retape. Yes.
The whole
Wait,
thing.
actually?
The whole thing, yeah.
Yes. You
And then
don't
we'd
say
yell-
all those soft cuss words on TV.
Yeah.
If you get an invite.
I said hell once, and
Yeah, don't even do that.
And then Nick slapped me for some reason. I said, "Well, you're going to hell."
Well, you said HE double hockey sticks.
I didn't. I said the real thing. Yeah,
It's
I
on
was,
you.
I was upset about it.
We don't
I've-
even like that. Don't even spell it out. Even with emoji hockey sticks.
I still
or
think
whatever
about it
you
to this day how embarrassed I am that that Nick had to do those things. By the way, Nick did tweet out.
So
This
Philip
is
Rivers only, basically. You can Philip Rivers it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Philip Rivers.
good information to have. Nick tweeted out the schedule for Thursday. So if you're wondering what time you need to be in your seat, 7:09 is when the championship banner ceremony will start. Kickoff's at 7:22. But maybe be in your seat by 7, just to give yourself a little wiggle room.
Yeah.
But 7:09.
Watch him
is
run
when-
those huge trophies out there on
Yes.
the field.
Yes, that's right. Maybe be in your seat by 7. But 7:09 championship banner ceremony, 7:12 Chiefs team introduction, 7:22 kickoff.
So you
for
got to line
tomorrow
up
night.
at least 6:30 to get into the arena.
Well, if you've been there before and you know about how long it takes you to get
Sure.
to your seat, then just plan accordingly.
Plan accordingly.
But 7:22 kickoff tomorrow night, 7:09 banner ceremony beginning. So thank you to Nick Jacobs for passing
If you
that
want to run
information
by
along.
our set and be a jackhole and try to yell at us or whatever, come by between 6 and 7.
I don't want to be a guy that proofreads a professional's
on them.
tweets or anything like that, but he did leave off Chiefaholics sentencing before the pregame.
I'll let him know that.
Pass that information.
What time is
Well,
that
I don't know.
tomorrow?
He didn't put it on the schedule.
Thanks a lot, Nick Jacobs. I could look it up myself, but
Tweet at him. Dylan, tweet at him right now. I want to see how this goes down.
send him an email.
And next to it, he can put plus 15.5 next to it.
Do I take the over or under? It's
Oh, my goodness.
been a fun hour, guys. I
How
like
many?
this.
We should probably do an extra over/under football puns that his lawyer makes outside on the
that's a good one.
steps after sentencing.
I don't want to lose over unders because of Chiefsaholic.
But we have to go back and find the actual amount from the first one
Yeah.
to accurately set that line.
I mean, we can go back and find it. We've
far
got
as
it.
I
mean,
got
Do
it.
you think
it
it's
wouldn't
still the
take very
same
long.
lawyer, or you got a new lawyer? What do you guys think?
good
Why would he
question.
get a
I don't
new
know.
lawyer? This guy's been killing it.
It's been awesome.
I'm pretty sure it's the same one from the article I was.
I mean, if you ask me, Rasheed Rice should switch. I mean, take that guy, huh? You know, I want him.
Rashee Rice ran away from the scene, just how he broke that 67-yard reception.
We were going to be satisfied with the
same
number
guy.
of years that matched one of his favorite players, but we were thinking Patrick Mahomes in 15, so we were shocked when the judge said 87. Travis Kelce.
I don't see where there's a specific time for sentencing tomorrow. I don't know.
I don't know how, as a
goes like that.
judge, you watch this whole story and give him anything less than 20. Like
Well, I mean, I don't know how often maybe do they meet in the middle, Judge. Here's what the defense is asking for.
Oh,
Here's what
yeah,
prosecution
they always
is asking
barter
for.
and trade
Just
and
go right in the middle
plea
here.
and all that
True.
stuff, yeah.
Just go. We'll get you 15. No, but Mahomes. Okay, fine. We'll get you 16 then. That's why. But that's Lynn Dawson. Okay, 17. But that's Gerback. All right, 8.
it's 12 for Brody Croyle.
Eventually, you get to a number to where it's like 34. I don't. No, they can't.
Generic Prince.
37. 30, 42.
thinking-
Sherman. 43. Good guy. Winchester. 44.
We were thinking Tyreek Hill, but we'll settle for Isaiah Pacheco.
He's a big fan. He actually hates Xavier Worthy. Give him number 1. Give him number 1. Worthy, the worst. McKinnon and Worthy.
They'll
hates
scare
those
him straight.
It's just that 1 year. He'll never. Here's the thing. He's already been rehabilitated. He'll never rob another bank. You don't have to put him in jail for that long for him to not rob another bank. He's learned his lesson. This has been bad enough. All right, don't you think this is punishment enough for him to have to go through all of this stuff? Come on, people. I guess
He's
that's how
only
it
got 2 documentaries coming out.
He only went to all of those games based on, robbing banks and putting a gun in somebody's face who still has, nightmares about it, and, we should probably think about her when he gets the 15 to 20 years. And Sterling's over here rooting for, him to get like 5 years. It's odd that
No, it's a hedge.
Openly-
it's an emotional hedge.
Sterling's uncle.
emotional. I just love the emotional hedge on Chiefs of Hall.
I hope he gets like 40. I'm like, yeah, it's 10 to 20, and he ggets 40. But
Okay, here it is. Sentencing scheduled for September 5th at 9:30 a.m. Oh, can we take that live at 10? She's live right here on Sports Radio 10 WC.
Do it.
Yeah, so up to 20 years.
Why is it here, right, when he robbed all the banks in other places?
It's in the federal
Oh,
court.
you said federal court. That's right.
So it's federal court. They just did it closer to his home.
Yeah,
They're
they
like,
did.
well, you know what? He wants to be
He's
close
right
to
here.
It's on September 5th. Let's do it in Kansas City. Let's just so everybody's there anyway, so we can just all go to the game and celebrate afterwards. That'll be fun. All right. Well, the lawyer should actually hold the press conference in front of Arrowhead Stadium.
They're going to send him to a penitentiary in New Orleans.
And they've already given him February 9th as a day out that he can go and visit with his family.
Work release.
He gets a work release on September 9th only.
He's going to run the chains. In chains.
All right, wrapping up the Wednesday edition of the show tomorrow. A lot of football that we'll be talking about as leading up to Chiefs and Ravens. Looking forward to it. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock, KSHB 41s will have their pregame leading into then.
We'll be
6
on
o'clock.
4 to 6, mostly all Chiefs, but definitely from 5 to 6 live from out there. We'll have our set up there. I'll be inside in the field. I like that. Roll better,
Nice.
and then, here we go.
Yeah. So it'll be mostly Mick from 4 to 6, right?
No.
Oh, what?
No, it's not, and that's what I like. We have everybody, all hands on deck. Feet, all body parts will be out there for everybody.
There you
Everybody's required to bring all parts.
Every part of your body.
Don't leave anything back at home.
Yeah, don't do this half-assed.
Yeah,
We
bring
want
some
full
extra
ass.
parts if you can.
Right.
Extra parts.
Thanks, Mick. Have fun. See you Friday.